Hey guys, welcome to your Sunday night week in review. Tonight we've got Mary Grater back on the show to talk about everything, of course, that happened this week in WWE, but also other rumors floating around about where Daniel Bryan could end up, and no, it's not WWE. Some CM Punk and Samoa Joe talk as well, and we even dive pretty deep into the state of the WWE women's division. And spoiler alert, we're really not that happy with it, but this is certainly a show you're not going to want to miss. Mary Grater and myself for nearly 2 hours breaking down everything in WWE and beyond. Let's get things going right after this. Hey, so if you guys haven't listened to the podcast Long Shot Leaders yet, you're missing out. And you may ask, what's so special about this podcast? Well, number one, it is hosted by Michael Stein. He's an entrepreneur, actor, filmmaker, comedian, and self-help expert. And he's come up with a really great idea for his show. What he does is tell stories of underdogs who found success. For example, some of his guests that he's had on, Sean Spector. He's the co-founder of Gamefly and Drop Off. Bruce Vilanch. He's a 6-time Emmy Award winner, writer, and actor. And most recently, he interviewed former WWE writer Vince Russo, and the conversation was awesome. I mean, we got insight from Vince that I have not heard from any other podcast, including what he believes makes a great wrestler, why some people can't stand Vince Russo today because of the on-screen heel character that he played, and he talked about something that means even more to him than the massive ratings that occurred during the Attitude Era. So, guys, go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. It's available on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It's already got a perfect 5-star rating. I mean, that's unheard of with podcasts. So go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. There is such a great diversity of hosts and topics that it will definitely inspire you, and you'll be able to find something that you can relate to. So go check out Long Shot Leaders today.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast here for this Sunday night week in review. As always, one of our lengthier shows of the week, but with good reason as we dive into as many topics as we can for this week in WWE and beyond. And we do talk about, again, Daniel Bryan's potential of returning and where he could land and where we really saw some hints of that. And Mary and I discussed that and her frustration with Samoa Joe being released. And that certainly was made very clear. As if you know Mary, you've listened to her before, she doesn't really, pull back any punches. She's very straightforward. I'll leave it at that. And it's a good thing here on the show as we discuss as really just everything top to bottom. And of course, get on our sidetracks. I know some of you are not into the sidetracks of wrestling when you want to stay on topic, but it's inevitable when you talk about wrestling to just get sidetracked and go on a sidebar, and just because so many things lead to other things and you just go down a rabbit hole. But we tried our best to stay on track. So before we get going, I'd want to say a shout out to Muller92 on our Patreon page, who just upped his tier to get the exclusive What If podcast with Anthony DeMarco and myself. We'll be recording in the next day. We're a little late this week. I was on a quick vacation, which is why it's not in your, if those of you on Patreon, it is not in your list yet because I didn't record it. It's coming. But also I wanted to give Randy Delmonico a little bit of a extra bonus segment here to get his thoughts in. I recorded my mailbag a little early last week, and I want to get his thoughts and questions out now because I was a little early in recording last week. And by the way, if you want to join Patreon and get yourself exclusive access to me, ask me questions anytime. I do answer back fairly quickly. And also ad-free. You get a mug, t-shirts of the WWE podcast, and shout-outs, a private Discord server to talk to me during pay-per-views, just so much other really cool stuff, and I'd encourage you to go check it out. I also had a quick video that I shot, which explains a little bit about the page, and it's really quick. I think it's like 2 minutes or less. So check it out. patreon.com/WWE podcast. Okay, Randy, here's what Randy says. And again, guys, after this, we'll get right to our conversation with Mary Grater. So, okay, he says, hey, Matt, Randy here. Oh, my goodness. I can't even speak right now. So the Miz is hurt for the first time in his career. Guess he can't say that in his promo anymore. But seriously, that sucks for him just as much as that lumberjack match. Zombies, really? That's what we're doing now? And yes, I was the guy who was telling his friend to watch wrestling, and they decided to watch. And he was just like, what is this crap? Oh, man, Randy, I feel so bad for you. Oh, boy. That's embarrassing, isn't it? You got to wait for WrestleMania, because at least WrestleMania usually has big names and maybe the Royal Rumble. Outside of that, like you're really taking a chance. So I feel that embarrassment, Randy. I feel it. You say, okay, ran over. Now Roman and Cesaro match. It was really amazing. I hope they continue with Cesaro. I have a feeling that he's going to fight him again at Hell in a Cell, and that's where we'll see Jimmy join the Bloodline fully and screw Cesaro. You're probably right. Now the women's tag titles, not a bad match on Raw, but I think the focus was Alexa. I think she might be going after Shayna for some reason. Thoughts? I think so. She did do some voodoo on Shayna, but I don't know exactly where her loyalties or where her focus lies, given the fact that she she attacked Reginald this week with some cane fire. It's weird. I honestly don't know who Alexa is targeting, and I'm ready to just find out. There is some rumor that Bray Wyatt's gone because he's mourning John Huber's passing, and when he came back, Vince said he was a mess, and they came up with the ending to write him off for a while, maybe SummerSlam. Yep, that is true. So I do feel for Bray, the human being. Last thing, sorry if I jump around, I get excited. We all do. See, this is what happens. Even in an email, we can't keep it together, can we? But the casual wrestling fan stated, I believe, why isn't MVP doing anything like fighting? The reason he actually has the cane is because he's hurt, and said it on the Corey Graves podcast. Thanks, Matt. Stay safe. And by the way, Kofi Mania too. Okay, you are officially banned from the show, Randy. It was good up until you mentioned Kofi Mania, so I bid you a farewell. Of course, just trying to push your buttons, but I will say this. First of all, the casual wrestling fan has got his own fan base on my show. I'll say that. People love the casual wrestling fan. Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan, if you're listening, you got to come back. People are demanding it, so maybe we can have a co-hosting show once again. People love to hear from you. But as far as MVP not doing anything, I'm okay with that. MVP has slotted himself very nicely into this managerial role. I actually don't need to see him in the ring. If they have him in the ring, that's okay, but I don't feel like I'm missing something. I mean, at least that's how I feel. I don't feel like I'm sitting here going, oh man, when are they just going to get him back in the ring? I feel that way with Sonya Deville. I don't feel this way with MVP. So that's just my thought. But thank you so much, Randy, for your email. I normally don't do emails on the Sunday night show, but since you're a patron, I have afforded you that privilege. So, okay, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to my conversation with Mary Grater and myself. I'll be back on Tuesday night, as always, with your Monday Night Raw review. And until then, guys, stay safe. Thanks for everything, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, is your week in review right now with Mary Grater, longtime co-host of the WWE podcast, and we've got a lot to cover this week as we head towards, oddly, Hell in a Cell this in about a month or so, and lots to cover. But first, Mary, welcome to the show. How's everything going?
You know, I completely forgot about that because I saw it. I was like, wait, it's not October. You're already running the year way too fast. I can't believe it's June. But yeah, Hell in a Cell in June. Weird. Anyway, hi, how are you? I'm good. Glad to be back. Got a lot of ground to cover because we haven't talked since Mania almost. Busy people we are.
No, it's been too long. And you know, I know that since that time, of course, there have been a lot of things going on in WWE. We're not going to cover everything. There's just too much between last time we talked and now. However, I want to get your opinions because we haven't really chatted about it on air, and that's the releases that WWE made. Your thoughts? And I know last year was, I mean, they released a lot more last year, but certainly this year really had some names on there you wouldn't have expected to have. And Samoa Joe, I think, leads the list. But your thoughts on all that stuff?
Yeah, I still thought it was a little tone deaf. After last year when they fired a whole bunch of people during the pandemic, at the beginning of this thing, I thought it was I was on the show then, and I had a big problem about it. I thought it was very cold and callous, and especially after WWE reported another gross revenue huge year for them profit-wise, all of a sudden they still need to cut people. And a lot of them weren't being utilized, and I get that, but that's not their fault. It's, WWE booking. And, out of all of them, I think the Iconics was, Billy Kay was starting to get somewhere. And I think that was really bad because they're great, and they should have never split in the first place. And I have theories about Johnny Ace coming back in and the Bellas still being like, we want the tag team titles. Why that might have happened because, we were all told that John Laurinaitis is back. Hooray, guys. I know everybody's excited about that. And we kind of know what kind of person he is. And being the head of talent relations, I just find it really weird that he gets put back in a spot. And then all these releases happen, and a couple of them you're like, huh? Mickie James, they weren't using her. There was the whole trash bag incident. Who was it wasn't Britt Baker. I always confuse her with the girl who was released. Chelsea Green. I always confuse the two of them because they look very similar. Chelsea Green was another one that I know she had an injury, but seemed like she had a lot of potential. But Joe, man, how do you not have anything for Samoa Joe? The guy who's been basically carrying your announced team for the last couple of months because he's very good on the mic. I don't know if Joe asked for his release. I still think that might have been a thing that happened because I don't think they were clearing him from a concussion. And then you have this guy who was his name, Anon, the new announcer on Raw, who is absolutely terrible. This is not baseball.
Yeah, from the MLB.
Yeah, this is not baseball. Sorry, guys. I know you're trying to be more sports stuff. He is not. There are wrestling commentators, and then there are sports commentators, and you can't. He's coming off. Who was that guy during the anonymous Raw? And the other announcer, or the GM they had, Mike something, I don't know. I wasn't even watching wrestling at that point. The one that they always make fun of, Mike Metal or something.
Mike Adamle?
Yeah, whoever that guy was. It's like they put him on commentary. It's like, because they kind of look alike too. So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Also, McPhee or whoever the guy is doing SmackDown. Yeah, guys, WWE is making some interesting choices right now, with their announcing team and the people that they're putting on, WWE A&E programs to talk, the history about the biographies of people. I'm not going to mention names because I kind of have close associations to people, but not good. I don't know why you would release Joe. That's a huge missed opportunity. I wanted him versus Lesnar at one point, and they did it, and it was good, and it was too short. I think it could have went further. Joe would have been believable to beat Lesnar for a title. And I don't have anything to say about that. I wanted him in the Samoa, that faction that I've been talking about since I've been doing the show with Reigns. And even though he's not really part of the royal family, he could have been the muscle. He's Samoan. It doesn't matter, So it's really disappointing that they released Joe. But it does lead into a conspiracy theory Mary moment, and I'll let you lead it off.
I feel like I keep saying that. I need a jingle for when you hit that.
Yes,
I
need a jingle.
Something.
We need to talk to Big Beth. We're giving Beth a shout out right now about that. Beth can make that happen. I don't know if you have announced that you're working with that platform.
No, I haven't. But that's okay. It's not a secret. However, when we talk about the jingle, I'm thinking of the X-Files theme. That's what I'm. envisioning in my head, and I feel like I have like a tinfoil hat on or something.
Yes, I know, and we could do that. Like I said, Beth is your gal. She'll figure out something like that. So, yeah, but you could start off. There were tweets. There were a series of tweets between CM Punk and Joe when he was released. You are looking at them right now. I am not. So that's why I was going to ask you what's going on over there.
So, yeah, and this is me running down a timeline. This is not from memory. This is on my screen, so everybody thinks I'm that smart. I'm not. It is. So what's happened, if you had forgotten, when Joe got released, Punk tweeted immediately after and said, attacking the effing couch. Or no, he said, attacking the F your couch. And then the gif of Dave Chappelle as Rick James on a couch during the Chappelle Show skit, one of the most famous. If you don't know,
yes.
yeah, I mean, you have to know that skit. I mean, like, I don't care if you don't even know what the Dave Chappelle Show is. You've seen that. Trust me.
Yes.
So Joe responded and said, they really should have never gave me money. And Punk wrote back, effed up and paid us. And then Joe has not responded to Punk's tweet as of this writing, this was a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know. I mean, Punk.
How did you interpret that when you first read it? Because I interpreted it a different way when I first read it, and then I went back and I started staring at it, and I was like, well, okay. But I'm also conspiracy theory Mary, so I make nothing out of anything. So.
Yeah, I know, but that's half the fun of it. And I don't know. Honestly, I didn't take anything from it that said, ooh, wait a minute. I think there's something going on here. I think they know exactly what they're doing, and I think, personally, I guess I'm more of a I'll believe it when I see it kind of person, and I know it's fun to theorize. I don't think there's anything to this because I don't think they would want people to they wouldn't want to spoil something this big if they were going to both appear in AEW, for instance. I don't think there's anything to this. I think they know what they're doing in riling people up, and they know that everyone's hanging on every word that is said, and people are running with this, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything to it, but that's why you're here. What do you think?
I didn't think there was anything to it too, but I just thought it was really weird because like Punk has, we were just talking, before the show, Punk has lost a lot of allies in wrestling over the last couple of years because he's Punk. But it didn't seem like there was ever a beef between him and Joe. I mean, their history, as a wrestling fan, even if you don't watch the indies, if you don't know about the Summer of Punk, please find a bootleg DVD of it like I have. I had somebody on Twitter when I first got back into wrestling send me a whole bunch of Punk stuff from his ROH days. So, they had this huge rivalry, Summer Punk, Joe and Punk. And right when Punk left WWE, Joe came in. So we never got to see it on the big stage. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. And then all those other indie wrestlers started getting signed when Punk left. And it just seemed weird. It would have been nice to see them go at it. And Joe can go tit for tat on the mic with Punk, and it would have been epic promos. But I didn't think anything of it too. But I was like, they never talk to each other on Twitter. And you're right, they're probably doing this to stir a crowd. But then I started looking at it, and it's like I saw that Rick James gif as Punk throwing a tantrum because crap, now I gotta move. Like he's been biting and stuff. I feel like maybe they have had an agreement if, Joe got released or something like that or whatever, that, Joe was going to try to make his way to AEW because now that's the only federation he hasn't been in. And I just don't see at this point going back to ROH or Impact TNA. I'm not as well versed on those programs as I should be, but I see the money is where AEW is, and anytime you have a potential talent going like that from WWE to that, it puts it back in of, okay, Vince might have trouble down the line. So I interpreted it as crap Punk going, God damn it, I'm screwed now. Now I'm going to have to start figuring out, and I got to start coming up with a plan because I promised Joe we would have one last run or something like that because they're both getting up there. You know what I mean? So again, that's just me interpreting stuff. And especially when they were talking about the money, they paid us and they effed up. It's well, okay, yeah, they messed up. They really did. But what does that mean though? Are you going to go and make money somewhere else? A lot more? They just paid you a whole bunch of money for them to get screwed. This is how I look at things like that. But also the other, interesting thing that's going on right now is Daniel Bryan's contract expired, and there's been no talking about a renewal or any of that. We all know he wanted to go to part-time. He's had another baby. He wants to be with his kids. Bree's retired, hopefully forever. Stop talking about coming back. But, again, it comes down the line. If Joe or Bryan show up in AEW, I think there's more of a better chance of Punk showing up sooner than later. I think those are two guys that he respects, and he, that those guys entering the AEW then puts it on Vince's, even if they're saying it's not competition, which is utter bullcrap. It puts a little more pressure because you do not want CM Punk showing up in AEW. They will destroy WWE in the ratings. That's when they will move him. They will move shows to compete with Raw and stuff like that if they're smart. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. There are certain people, and very few people, that are in the wrestling industry, in sports in general, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, that are needle movers. There are stars, and then there's needle movers, where they actually singularly make a difference in the ratings by themselves, and Punk is one of them. One of the few that could do that. And yes, I think WWE would be concerned. However, if I were them, I would say, well, how long does Punk actually have, right? We just have to ride the wave out, let him have his one or two matches. The guy is, mid-40s, or close to 50, whatever he is. He doesn't have a whole lot in.
He's not close to 50? How dare you?
How old is he? He's got to be. He's mid-40s. He's got to be, right?
He's 2 years older than me. So he's 42, 43. I think he's born in 78. 78 is when he was born.
Okay,
so he's a little.
Oh, so close to mid-40s. I'm almost right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's.
But you got
okay.
AJ Styles, and you got all these guys that, Edge, and all these guys that are putting out matches still at that age, in good condition. Punk's still in good shape, It's.
And one thing that won't age on him is his promo. Like, I mean, he could cut a promo. He could. It doesn't matter. Like, even if he's done in the ring, he could still be a mouthpiece for someone. I don't know, if not a manager per se, but he could be on the announce team. He could.
Group or something. Yeah.
He has more talent than just in the ring and cutting good promos to a match. I mean, so, but, there is something there. Perhaps, I'm not going to write it past him. We've been fantasy booking Punk's return since he left in 2014. I mean, so it is a long, really just theorizing of his return. And I think a lot of fans have thought about that too. And I don't know. Like you said, though, with Daniel Bryan, you and I talked off air about the Impact promo that they put on their Instagram, and I didn't see it until you brought it to my attention, where Impact, for their Slammiversary event, have at the very beginning, and anybody that wants to take a look at this, go to Impact Wrestling, look at their Instagram page. It's in their feed, and it shows yes in Daniel Bryan's letters that he uses for his yes t-shirts and everything else. The very first picture you see is yes, and then it flashes away, and they go into their actual promo for Slammiversary. Were there other things, Mary, in that you saw that perhaps
I only watched it through once, and then I started reading the thread, and I swear I saw Samoa Joe's head. Now, Samoa Joe used to work for the company where they're using stock footage. I don't know. But the whole promo, you just watched it more recently than me. So, but I'm just putting words together. It seemed like they were knocking WWE. Because every spring WWE does their clear out, and then all the other federations pick up the wrestlers that just got released. And it's just, they're taking a big bargain or a big risk if Daniel Bryan, using the actual font that Daniel Bryan uses and putting yes as an Easter egg at the beginning of your promo for Flash, and him not show up there, I just don't see Daniel Bryan going to TNA. But hey, I don't know his personal business, but it seems really risky to be having those two people on your promo for your WrestleMania. Slammiversary is their WrestleMania, and I know they're doing better now than previous, but this company has always been wishy-washy. It just seems weird to be making all these comments, and that's very specific. And the thread was all the fans going, there's going to be a lot of pissed off fans at the next, at Slammiversary or whatever this is leading to when Daniel Bryan doesn't show up or Bryan Danielson doesn't show up. And I don't know. It just seemed really weird. So there are a lot of these weird, funky things going on right now. And I'm having a field day because I'm just trying to figure it out. But I don't know. What do you think about it?
I don't. Well, here's what I think. In my limited knowledge of Impact Wrestling, I don't have faith in the company to bring in Daniel Bryan. And if I was Daniel Bryan, I don't know if that's the place I'd want to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of like the third wheel in the big companies right now, at least in the United States. I don't think that's the best place for him to, quote, make his return. I also think it's bad for business, to use an old cliche from WWE, for Impact to promote something, tease something, and not deliver. They know exactly what they're doing there.
That's like eyes on the product.
Yeah.
That's like just trying to get people to like talk about you. Yeah, it's clickbait.
It's bad business if they do that and don't deliver. You don't do that. It would be like them putting up like the glass shattering for the beginning of the promo or beginning of the promo for the Slammiversary event, and then they don't don't do that. Don't ever do that. And even Vince McMahon, for all the flaws he has, the guy is an evil genius at times, and we can hate him for whatever his decisions to fire people, hire people. The guy has always said, don't promise something to the audience that you can't deliver, right?
Yeah.
Like it's true. You don't do that. So that's bad for business if they do that. And I don't think Daniel Bryan is going to appear at Slammiversary. I could be completely wrong. I hope I am, but I don't think so. So
I mean, yeah, it could be completely wrong too. I would be really shocked. It would be a really shocking moment. I mean, hey, like I don't know. I don't know what their funding is. I don't know what there is. Like maybe they were like, okay, we're going to take every last penny and throw it at Daniel Bryan, and maybe this will make our company big. But like it just seems like if Daniel Bryan was going to go anywhere, he's going to go to AEW, and that's what the option is now. Like TNA used to be that company, and at one point they were better than WWE, and then politics get involved, like hiring Hulk Hogan and making him part of your creative team. Sorry, I'm going to keep knocking that. He's destroyed 2 companies, guys. 2. Keep worshiping him because he's a jerk. And if you've been watching the biography things, there was a whole thing on WCW, and he did not come off well in that light. So I digress. So I just don't see Daniel Bryan going over there. I mean, maybe Joe makes a return to TNA. He has been there, but AEW is the only federation that he has not been in. And it would be, he's been in ROH, he's been in TNA, and I just think it would be really, really, really silly of him not to try to get to that 4th federation, wrestling company, and, on his way out, because Joe is getting up there too.
Well, let me ask you this now. Now that we move to WWE, I do want to ask the big news of the week, as they promoted many times throughout SmackDown, and rightfully so. Probably the best news that we as wrestling fans could ever get in the last 15 months. It's the return of the biggest superstar WWE has, and that's the fans, of course, coming back. The first show, I think, is Friday. It's going to be a Friday night SmackDown in Houston, Texas on July. Let me get the date. July 16th. So what are your thoughts on fans coming back?
It's good news. I mean, everybody wants everything to go back to normal, and wrestling has done its real best. Like, I think WWE did a really good job during all this. I think AEW did a good job during all this. Was there a lot of snafus and, messed up things that happen and people getting sick and like all this stuff? Yeah, but that's basically been the world for the last year and a half. So you accept accept it or accept it. I can't even say the word right now. Expect it. There you go. Sorry.
You're fine.
You expect it. But no, I mean, great, awesome, because wrestling needs fans. It's not the same. I think fans are going to be so hyped to be back in the arena and see everybody and be able to react to what's been going on in wrestling for the last year, because they really haven't been able to. And, their experiments, whatever WWE is doing right now, specifically with, Vince just resetting everything every month or so, except certain factors like Reigns and stuff, it's going to be really great for the fans to now be able to react to heel Reigns. Like, I cannot wait, so it's good. It's good news. It's good that we're getting back to somewhat normal. It's going to be white boy summer, like Chet Hanks said, so everybody's going to be like going off, and I think wrestling is really going to benefit from it. I already read a rumor that John Cena is probably going to be at the SmackDown taping for the first fans coming back, because he is wrapping his show, The Peacemaker, on July 9th. So he is going to have some free time. The only reason he wasn't at Mania this year was because he unexpectedly got a TV show And he wasn't expecting it at a TV show. And I mean, obviously you're going to film your TV show, right? So that'll be cool to see John back. I don't know how long, if he's going to be around. I don't know if it's a guest appearance. Like, we still don't know when John's going to come back to wrestling on a part-time schedule, because he is, going to be as big as Batista and The Rock, especially after the show comes out. He's going to be the saving grace of DC, I'm telling you, other than The Rock being Black Adam. But that's another rant. Once I get my Marvel comic podcast, we'll talk about that. But I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good summer. I think a lot of things are going to be going down. And the other good thing about the fans being back is all these conspiracy theories and stuff we've been talking about, returns are actually going to happen now. So anything that might have been in the cards or making or whatever, like big returns, like if CM Punk was ever going to debut in AEW, it's going to happen now, especially after this year. That's when you want to do it. Everybody's had a crap year. Fans haven't been there. Let's give them the biggest stuff that they can give them. You know what I mean? So we might have surprise returns. We might have different people showing up on different programming. And it's going to be cool to see how it rolls out. Hopefully, though, with the fans being back in control of what we want, listen to the fans, we could kind of get this McMahon insanity, my brain is deteriorating at a rapid rate now stuff going. Because, the most tone-deaf thing I saw today, I don't know if you've been on Twitter today, I know I've been telling you some stuff I've been seeing, was they put out a tweet, happy birthday to Bray Wyatt. So they put out a tweet, you'll never forget the first time the Fiend showed up. And they show when the Fiend, Sister Abigail, Finn, when Finn Balor was still on the main roster. And I put up a tweet. I was like, yeah, happy birthday, dude. We just keep building you up and then burying you and, just to knock you down, and you keep screwing him over. Yeah, happy birthday. Because it's where's Bray? I love Alexa. I love everything she's doing, but she literally has his gimmick now. And he created that gimmick. Where is Bray?
So
I feel so bad for him.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. Ugh, another wrestling podcast. How many times can I listen to fans tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince his coffee these days? Enough! The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday. Bump Day, yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
Hey, so if you guys haven't listened to the podcast Long Shot Leaders yet, you're missing out. And you may ask, what's so special about this podcast? Well, number one, it is hosted by Michael Stein. He's an entrepreneur, actor, filmmaker, comedian, and self-help expert. And he's come up with a really great idea for his show. What he does is tell stories of underdogs who found success. For example, some of his guests that he's had on, Sean Spector. He's the co-founder of Gamefly and Drop Off. Bruce Vilanch. He's a 6-time Emmy Award winner, writer, and actor. And most recently, he interviewed former WWE writer Vince Russo, and the conversation was awesome. I mean, we got insight from Vince that I have not heard from any other podcast, including what he believes makes a great wrestler, why some people can't stand Vince Russo today because of the on-screen heel character that he played, and he talked about something that means even more to him than the massive ratings that occurred during the Attitude Era. So, guys, go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. It's available on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It's already got a perfect 5-star rating. I mean, that's unheard of with podcasts. So go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. There is such a great diversity of hosts and topics that it will definitely inspire you, and you'll be able to find something that you can relate to. So go check out Long Shot Leaders today.
Welcome back to the WWE podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Yeah, I do. And here's the thing. So, number one, I will agree with you about the fan. I don't think there's any fan in the world, if you love wrestling, that are saying to themselves, man, I really hope they stay at the Thunderdome. I mean, you just, if you're a fan, I mean, you're just not a fan of sports in general. And more than any sport that exists right now, fans are dependent on pro wrestling to make it a good, productive, or a good production, a good show, more than any other sport.
Yeah, you need the crowd to feed off of. That's it.
The whole crowd reaction is everything. When they don't have it, and I know WWE has done the best that they possibly could. I'm not knocking them. They really have. Bringing in fans virtually. They pumped in crowd noise. They don't have a choice. But now, like you said, it's time to get back to reality. They can't do their cinematic matches. They can't pump in the crowd noise and manipulate the perception at home as to who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. It's now time for the fans to finally take the control back in about 7 weeks or whatever it is. I am really looking forward to this. I expect that show, the first show back on Fox, to be huge. As you said, John Cena being rumored, I could absolutely see that. I would expect maybe even The Rock. Hell, I mean, this should be the biggest show that WWE has put on all year, barring WrestleMania, of course. But this should be a massive show because this is going to bump ratings, not just for that night, but in the long haul, it's going to bump ratings. It's also going to, as you said, going to take what they may have been holding back over the last 16 months or whatever it's been and going, why we put this on the back burner? Let's do this now. Their fans are back, and I think it may entice some people to return. You don't want Stone Cold, of course I don't think of wrestling match, but you don't want big names to come back when there's no crowd. It's awful. We saw it. It doesn't work. It's just awkward, and it's weird to see. So anybody that may have had a big angle, a big return, a big whatever, like you said, this is going to be the time to do it because now there's no more excuses. Now you've got the soul of your product back, and I think that they will bring people back. John Cena, yes, probably. Do I think Stone Cold? Yeah, for the occasional. Same with The Rock. God Almighty, we don't need Hulk Hogan at all. I never want to see Hulk Hogan again. As the biggest fan of wrestling as I am, and you are, we do not need Hulk Hogan ever on our screens to show us his H-phone, to come back for a Raw review or a Raw retro show, an 80s show, a 90s show, a 25th anniversary, 26th. I don't want to see Hulk Hogan ever again and cutting his same promo. I am done with Hulk Hogan. And I respect what he's done for the business, and I'll leave it at that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this as far as the fans being back. What was the second point you made about the second half? I got off on a rant there. You were talking about...
It's okay. I was going to say, I mean, we could possibly see, names that were released now making their debuts in other federations. Because, AEW is going to have fans, too. Everybody's going to be getting live fans. Once WWE does it, everybody else is going to do it. So you could get a Daniel Bryan AEW. I mean, holding off on stuff like that. Any returns... I mean, we're getting Eva Marie. Hooray. That's another rant for another day. Hooray. But, I wanted to say real quick about the pumping in noise. During Backlash last week, did they, and I know this is a PG show, did they pipe in holy shit at one point? Yes. I was like, did they do that? I was like, wait, I thought we weren't allowed to do that. And it was really weird because, it was one of those moments when it happened. But it was just like, and it's just weird that they did that. Is that taking allowances right now? Because I figured they would have taken way more risks than they did during this whole time, but it seemed like they were doing this stuff that they knew the fans were going to hate during this time.
Right.
So, now they're going to be put on notice, and, it needs to be a fan service. You're right. Anything that they were holding off, they need to execute it, and they need to, somehow convince the old man that, it's almost like Endgame for all the MCU. It was a fan service. It was you guys are the reason why we're here, and we're going to do every little geeky comic thing that you can mark out on, and when the theater went nuts when Captain America grabbed Thor's hammer, everyone went ape crap. Everybody was going nuts. So I feel like they owe it to them too, because we're still watching, and, people were doing the virtual thing, and people paid to go to WrestleMania, so I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be huge. I don't remember what my other point was, but I think that was basically it. They're going to be on notice. I think that they're going to have to pull out big guns for the fans. And I think that it's an opportunity too, to reinvent themselves. Okay, we're back. We got the thing that makes us move. We got it back. Let's knock it out of the park so the fans start talking again, and maybe we could get to the levels that we used to be at.
Yep. No, the whole one-off of WrestleMania was nice, but we knew we were going right back the next night to Purgatory. We're going right back to, oh, that's right, the fans aren't still here. So the one-off is gone. Plus, that's a different audience that you get at WrestleMania, where yes, it's typically an international audience. It's the hardcore audience. It's the diehard, whatever you want to label them as. They're the ones who are actually, by the way, foundationally keeping WWE alive, because they are the ones who are the true fans who are showing or trying to provide this content to their friends and to their family and to whatever. So like those, I know WWE likes to crap on those fans and talk about how they're a non-traditional audience and talk about how, well, they boo people they normally cheer, like all that crap. I cannot stand when they try to label us as some kind of like counterculture, but nonetheless, I think that this is a great thing. Now, getting into the specifics of this week, though, of course, as the Week in Review states, I got to ask about, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. What do you think is what's the end game here, to take a line off of the movie you just mentioned, which I did not see, so thanks for that moment. I didn't see
sorry.
it yet.
I mean, it's been out for like years now.
I know, it's my fault.
We're going
it's
into
my
phase
fault.
4. We got new stuff going on. Come on.
I know, it's my own fault. It's kind of like telling people I've never seen all the Rocky movies. They're like, what? I've never seen them. Like, I know what they're about.
I've seen like one or two either,
Yeah.
So you're in the same house with me. But I mean, I didn't ruin anything. You're still gonna mark out when you see it. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen on cinema. Is that moment.
And I know we're getting way off topic, but very briefly, I will say people will not stop talking about Endgame. I'm like, okay, now I've got to see this. So
yes,
it's that good.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Watch it. Anyway, I'm an MCU mark, but anyway,
yeah,
I digress.
Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns. What's the end game here?
So that was the one point I said, I cannot wait to see a live crowd react to heel Roman Reigns. Heel Roman Reigns has not been in front of a live crowd yet. And we're finally going to get our payoff. Are the fans going to cheer? Are the fans going to boo? I think they're going to boo, because I said it the other night. I did catch Roman live on Friday. I did watch SmackDown right before we talked because I was busy on Friday, but I did catch Roman on Friday. And I was watching it, and the one tweet I put out on Friday was like, man, I cannot state enough how much I am enjoying this. I want heel Roman forever. He has just gotten so good now at this character, and it's just, and with the returning Jimmy, I don't know. I thought he was going to go right into the fold right away. I thought he was going to be, his other right-hand man, and then they were going to try to, now Tamina is a tag team champ, and congrats, finally. She deserves it. It's one of those things, like, she's never been in a good position, but being with the company so long, I'm happy they finally put a title on her. You got that as an opportunity for a Samoan thing. You got, Naomi. I don't know. And now they're beefing Jey and Jimmy. I mean, honestly, I think what's going to happen is Jey is going to beat Jimmy, and Jimmy's going to go into the fold. Like, I think at the end, Jimmy's going to turn at some point. I don't think Jimmy's going to be fighting Roman and Jey this whole entire time, or trying to get the Usos back together as a face team. The Usos are going to be a heel tag team underneath Roman Reigns' rule, basically, is what they're doing. But I think, there's resistance, because there was resistance with Jey when it first happened, with him too. So Jimmy's like trying to, and I think they're also trying to establish them as single stars for the first time in their career, give them distinct personalities. Jimmy's not the bitch, and they gave him a shirt. And that was another weird thing that they did. I was like, what's going on? I thought all this stuff was not allowed. And now they're selling a merchandise shirt that has an actual technical curse word on it. So it was weird, but yeah, I think they're just trying to show their different personalities. I think, the end thing is, they're going to eventually turn on Roman, but right now, I think this is a power struggle, and Jey, is bowing down to the king, and I think that Jimmy and him but I think Jey is eventually going to beat Jimmy, and Jimmy's going to go into the fold and be the left-hand man for Roman Reigns, and I think they're going to get the titles back at some point, and I think all of them are going to be in that Hurt Business, which they destroyed, kind of faction where they have all the gold. And I do still think, I don't know what the specifics are, but this still feels like there is going to be a Rock Roman match to pass the torch. Because The Rock is really the head of the table. And Reigns is the head of the table active. I don't think The Rock is going to beat Roman Reigns if that happens, but I just also don't know if The Rock's allowed to wrestle anymore. What do you think about that?
I think the story writes itself. And yes, this year we have WrestleMania in Dallas. Next year it's in LA, which would be very appropriate. But that's also another year in which we have to keep Roman heel, keep him hot as a heel, and hope The Rock.
I think they could do it, though.
Yeah, they could, in theory, sure. I mean, but don't forget, this is also, we're talking nearly 2 years away. That's a long time when it comes to, a lot of what ifs and a lot of keeping people the same. If everything was exactly the same in 2 years, it's not going to be. That is a long time to wait and a long time to build. This year, I think, is more plausible, even though I know next year's location seems to match up nicely with The Rock. Dallas is, I think, it's still a big venue. It's going to be a packed house. This isn't going to be social distancing and, you stay 6 feet from me and I got to be in my own little pod. No. This is Texas and Florida, where I don't think they knew a pandemic happened. And they're going to just be 80,000, 90,000 people packed next to each other like normal. And that's what I love. And that's what is deserving of WrestleMania. Of course, safely, if everything, I'm not telling people put their lives at risk. If you're worried about COVID, of course, I'm not getting into that conversation. But that's what the environment's going to be. That's a fact. So I think that Rock Roman should happen sooner than later. I don't want to have WWE try to hope things are good next year or in 2023. And, Roman, hopefully he's still here and hopefully The Rock is in good shape and, or is in not going to have a movie schedule. And there's so many moving parts.
Or not starting his presidential run.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean, because if you run, typically you announce, 2 years before? So, that also is possible.
A lot of groundwork for that right now. It's going to happen. So
I think it will too. So if The Rock's going to do it, it's actually got to be kind of this year, this coming WrestleMania. So I think this writes itself. But to your point about Jimmy and Jay, this is going to be initial resistance from Jimmy. It gives them distinct personalities. You don't just look at them like we have for so many years prior and go, wait, which one's which? Who's who? I don't know which one's which. Like, now. It's very obvious who's who. There's no more wondering, and you're sitting there in the tag team. You don't know. Now you do. And I think this is going to be, why don't they just call this the bloodline? Why are we still tiptoeing around the fact that is a badass name for a group? It's the bloodline. Can we just officially label it that? Because I think maybe when Jimmy does that they will bring that name about. But yes, he joins. This isn't a long-term push for Jimmy Uso. He is just going to be another man, albeit very talented, brought into the fold to help Roman Reigns retain the Universal Championship. Jey Uso has done an excellent job as a stand-in, as his right-hand man, doing the dirty work for Roman Reigns. And he will be brought in just like Jey Uso. And I like how Paul Heyman brought up the fact this week that Roman Reigns has been undefeated since his return at SummerSlam last year. That was,
and I mean, and to another point, I know you were saying like 2 years is too long. That doesn't necessarily mean that Reigns has the title for 2 years. He could drop it, and then regain it. I mean, look at what they did with Brock. Brock was, Brock was a part-timer. I know it's different, but it's kind of the same thing. You have him be the dominant champ and Brock was basically the champ for the last 3 years. There was a very limited time that he was not the champ, even though he was part-time. And they were able to drag that out until they got to Drew, so I do think that they could do that. Again, I just don't know what Rock's status is, if he's allowed to wrestle, because we know that they put it in his contract after WrestleMania with John Cena when he got injured, even though I still have my theories about that he wasn't allowed to wrestle anymore because of his movie career. He's the highest paid, action star in Hollywood. He is got Black Adam coming up. He's going to be a DC superhero. And then again, he has the Young Rock show that is going on right now that seems like he's really laying the groundwork for a presidential run. I mean, because he's running for president in that show, and there has been other things that have been said and in interviews and all that stuff. So, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a presidential run in 2024. That's a dark hole that's going on right now. in that area, so I'm not going to say that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does have time off, if he's like, hey, I'm running for governor of Florida. We've talked about this. I don't think that The Rock is just going to try to run for president. He's going to do the right thing because he's The Rock. He's going to get into politics before he tries to go for the big house. You know what I mean? He knows it's a slam dunk anyway. Who's not going to vote for The Rock for president? But I digress. I really don't know. But I feel like they could drag it out to LA if they wanted to. I honestly think John might be more of a central focus in LA at that point. I think John in 2 years is going to be a megastar, bigger than he is right now. So there's a lot of things that are going on, You're right, the Usos are two different people now. It's not Uso 1 and Uso 2. I know who Jimmy is. I know who Jay is, and it's refreshing because they're both super talented, and Jay's been doing awesome just being like this cowardly punk, doing the dirty work, like you said. Everything has been so perfect with that storyline. I can't see how it doesn't lead to The Rock. And you're right. They should be called the Bloodline. That's what they were being called when they were doing the face kind of. They weren't a faction, but, the Usos were always backing up Reigns as a face. He was calling it the Bloodline then. But a side note, like you said that, why don't they use their name? Why the heck won't they announce Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as the Dirty Dogs?
I don't know.
They have matching gear. They dress the same. They have the jackets. They gave them new music. They are the tag team champs. For once, WWE put two single stars in a random tag team together, and it's working. I like their angle. Because, you don't have a lot to do with Dolph at this point, but, he's still amazing, in the ring and all that. Seems like he finally found the place. And you put two singles, and they were like, you know what? I don't want to be single stars. We're a tag team. We're going to be old school. We're going to come up with a name. We're going to come up with matching gear. Never happens for the most part when you throw two single stars in the WWE as of late together. You're just like, it's a random tag team, like Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. While, Natalya and Tamina have they don't have a name yet, but they have matching gear. They're trying to be like a tag team, and I think that's a lost art. Don't have a lot of that anymore. So here you have these two established veterans who are awesome in the ring, and they're tag champs. Change their music, all their gear says it, and they're still calling them Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, I like the Dirty Dogs name.
Yeah, I like it too.
It's appropriate. It's kind of funny, but it's also healing. It's a nice name for a tag team, and they just will not. I'm thinking to myself, is there some kind of underlying, name? Is there something in pornography that I don't know? Is there some kind of reference?
The thing is that even if that was the case, they wouldn't be letting them print it on their gear. Yeah, it's on their gear.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have matching jackets. I just don't understand it, and it really annoyed me because I was like, maybe they'll do it this week. Maybe they'll do it on the pay-per-view. They were waiting for the pay-per-view to do it.
Yeah, they won't.
Nope.
I don't know. It is weird. That's what I thought, because remember the submission sorority? There was Paige and somebody else
that was different.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking to myself because that was bad. They called themselves a submission sorority.
Yeah.
I'm not telling anyone to Google anything, but just use your imagination. I'm thinking to myself, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's that, and it was. So I thought it was something like that, and I'm wondering, but like you said, they're printing them all over the place except announcing them as such. I'm like, I don't know. But of course, this week with Dominic and Rey Mysterio getting yet another victory as the first ever WWE father-son tag team champions. Any quick thoughts on them?
I think it's a nice storyline. It's cute. I'm not really invested in it. I like Rey and stuff, but I'm just, I get his son. His son's doing phenomenal. I think it's a nice touch. I do think Rey is retiring soon, it seems like, and he's preparing his son to take the name, So it's a nice touch. It's pretty cool that they're the first father-son tag team champs. But other than that, it's just kind of it's one of those passing things. I'm not too into their storyline about it.
No.
I'm still trying to remember what happened with the whole storyline with Buddy Murphy and his daughter and his wife being there and all that crap. And apparently Dominic's Eddie Guerrero's son. So, it is what it is. I can take it or leave it. I kind of walk out of the room, but there's a few going on with Dolph and Robert Roode, but I'm more focused on them. Because, I think that they have a good thing going, and they could be a good dominant heel tag team, and it finally feels like Dolph isn't so lost anymore, and he deserves it because the guy is a workhorse, So that's my thoughts on that. But going real back, I know it was sidetracked. We were talking about Reigns. I think that's going to be the most must-see thing when fans return, is just the reaction of how we were clamoring. The fans wanted this way longer before we got it, and now we got it. So is it going to be a John Cena situation, or is it not going to be a John Cena situation? Are they going to boo him, or are they going to cheer for him? I think he's going to get booed because he's just, again, Roman Reigns, this character, him being this arrogant MFer. There's no other word for it, and I can't say it. That is what he is. And just his tone, like he was just talking before, I couldn't hear what he was saying because just the way he's doing.
Oh, backstage, yeah, I was.
He is just unbelievably rocket, and everybody's like, oh, they're doing good writing for him now. I'm like, no, they're giving him bullet points, and he's
just filling it all in. Yeah.
This is not scripted. Scripted Roman Reigns is suffering succotash. This is not scripted Roman Reigns. This is Roman being the guy that was in the Shield finally coming into his own, because you knew he was always, the muscle in that group, and he was the quiet, silent, deadly type, and now he is established, So, but that was an interesting interaction too, because it was kind of a throwback to the Shield, So, and I thought that Rollins was going to go after him, and I'm really surprised that Rollins is focusing so much on Cesaro right now. Because even though it's two heels going at each other, there's still a history with the Shield and stuff like that. I feel like Seth Rollins needs to be back in the title picture.
Right.
What do you think?
Seth Rollins doesn't. Every week I just kind of take a look and see what jacket that he's going to wear this week or what. It's hilarious. I love it.
Hilarious. I love
his
it.
eyes this week, though, I noticed his eyes. That was the thing that I remember and take most from this past week when he attacked Cesaro again brutally. 2 stomps. They can't call it the curb stomp, even though the curb stomp is such an awesome name.
I don't know why they call it the Blackout. The Blackout was a better name. That's what they called it in NXT. I still don't understand that.
I think maybe people are worried about, you're blackout from drinking. Maybe there's bad substance abuse attachments
the
there.
Other reason,
right?
Well, the curb stomp is way worse than that. So.
I know, but see, the PC culture with this kind of stuff, it's wrestling, folks. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but the Blackout's a cool name. I don't think whatever. I digress.
And we'll talk about Aleister Black in a minute. Speaking of blackouts, but I think that yes. First of all, we have heard Roman Reigns in front of a crowd since then, and that was at WrestleMania. And WrestleMania, he did get booed, even in front of the hardcore crowd that I was concerned would cheer for him because he's doing such a good job. They gave him the respect he deserved, and the character, the respect that it deserves, because they appropriately gave the reaction that the character dictated, booing him. That is the biggest compliment you can give. Let's not ironically cheer him because it's such a great thing that he's a heel and isn't he so good? No. Roman Reigns is a traditional heel that you don't see very often. It's not a cool heel. It's not the heel that you can do sing-alongs and all that kind of stuff with. You want to see somebody legitimately whoop his ass. And that's the feeling that I get when I see him, because we all knew this 6 years ago when he was still the suffering succotash, tater tots babyface. This is, we all remember these promos that were god-awful, that buried him, and he never, ever aligned with the babyface character, at least in the eyes of Vince. And we all knew that, God, Vince, can we please just turn him? And lo and behold, look what happens. He turns into the biggest star WWE has had in a long time. This was great. And Seth Rollins, to your point about, he attacks Cesaro brutally. Seth Rollins, again, I don't quite really understand what the Seth Rollins character is about or what he stands for. I don't get his character, but I'm entertained by it at the same time. I don't feel like he has a mission. It's weird. Seth Rollins
he went really, not to it's weird because he was the Messiah, and then all of a sudden he transitioned to this other thing where I feel like he is kind of the whole outfit thing comes off preachery. Like a snake oil salesman,
okay.
That's it's still a preacher, a following, follow me. But that whole Messiah thing just completely gone. And now he's this other character, which is great. Again, I think the best wrestlers are the ones that try everything out and try and find something new and keep reinventing himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I have no problem.
Crazy Seth Rollins has been amazing, but like you were saying, to your point, yeah.
No, his eyes. Just I've never seen that look from Seth. I don't know if he picked something up or went to promo class and worked on body language. I don't know. This past week though, that's the biggest image I have of after he stomped Cesaro for the second time on the ramp. And he just stand there and stood and stared. I was like, that's awesome, right? Like that is like the psychopath version of Seth Rollins. Like he went into the interview and like he said, I blacked out. I'm not sure what happened. And then immediately after that, sees Cesaro on the gurney and like gets in his face again. Like it's clearly just such a smarmy little heel. And I love what Seth Rollins. I never want him turning babyface. I don't want Seth Rollins ever as a babyface. Like it's just I remember everybody like crapping on his first heel run when he won the title. When he cashed in, and they were like, he's such a weasel, and the laugh, and I'm like, yes, he's great at it. Like, why? What? Like, that is who he is as a heel. There's different levels of heels. You got the tough guy like Roman, who's just gonna beat you, and Brock, and and all these, but you do have the weasel, like the Ric Flair types who are undermining, and those are great heels too. And Seth is Rizzo the Rat. My brother used to call him Rizzo the Rat from the Muppets. Oh yeah,
with the laugh.
Yep.
With the laugh.
Yes.
And he's Rizzo the Rat from the Muppets, and it's hilarious, but it's good at the same time. And yeah, he's got this crazy thing going on, but I just wanted to know what that interaction was between him and Roman. Like, was it like, I'm going to take care of Cesaro first and then I'm coming after you? Because there was something there in that moment. And Reigns was just like, I don't care. You're like a fly, which is adding to his character. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see where it's going,
And as we move on to the main event of SmackDown, we had the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship with Apollo Crews, Big E, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And I thought this was a really good match. You wouldn't expect anything less from these four men. Very, very well done. Hard hit. I like how much time they gave the guys. It didn't feel rushed. It was nicely done. And, of course, at the very end, as Big E is taking control, we find out that Aleister Black, who has been doing these very dark promos, talking basically that his dad is Satan. I mean, that's the premise, that his dad is Satan. And he has targeted Big E, and he gave him black mass, and my God, that is... What
a black mass.
God almighty. I mean, geesh. I mean, how is that not a concussion? I mean, I don't know, but... that is his first opponent. So what are your thoughts on Aleister Black's return? And
so if you guys haven't listened to the podcast Long Shot Leaders yet, you're missing out. And you may ask, what's so special about this podcast? Well, number one, it is hosted by Michael Stein. He's an entrepreneur, actor, filmmaker, comedian, and self-help expert. And he's come up with a really great idea for his show. What he does is tell stories of underdogs who found success. For example, some of his guests that he's had on: Sean Spector, he's the co-founder of Gamefly and Drop Off. Bruce Vilanch, he's a 6-time Emmy Award winner, writer, and actor. And most recently, he interviewed former WWE writer Vince Russo, and the conversation was awesome. I mean, we got insight from Vince that I have not heard from any other podcast, including what he believes makes a great wrestler, why some people can't stand Vince Russo today because of the on-screen heel character that he played, and he talked about something that means even more to him than the massive ratings that occurred during the Attitude Era. So, guys, go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. It's available on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It's already got a perfect 5-star rating. I mean, that's unheard of with podcasts. So go check out Long Shot Leaders with Michael Stein. There is such a great diversity of hosts and topics that it will definitely inspire you, and you'll be able to find something that you can relate to. So go check out Long Shot Leaders today.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
E.
I'm glad he's back. I've always been a fan. I was worried when his wife was released. I didn't know what was going on, and they kind of pulled him off TV. Zelina Vega, if anybody doesn't know that they are married in real life, because he disappeared very shortly after. These promos have been weird. I've been trying to, like, I don't like the way I don't like the eyeglasses thing. Like, I think he looks stupid, but I get, like, whatever. That's part of it. But what he's saying, like you're saying, like his dad is saying, if you know his history as an actual person in real life, his father was into, I believe, cult satanic stuff.
I didn't know that.
Or was a member of the Church of
Church
something
of Night,
like that.
or like yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So he was raised around this. So they are actually letting him bring in his real life experience and obviously turn it up to a 90 or whatever it is when he's talking about his father, because that he was raised around that kind of stuff. Gypsy stuff. He is from Amsterdam. Is a different, view of life over there. Everybody forgets that he's not American because he has very good, strong. He doesn't have an accent or anything. He has a little drawl, but So they're kind of going into what his actual background is, and that's why he has all those tattoos and stuff. So that's, he's got a clothing line kind of based on it. I do know stuff. I'm a nerd. I learn things about people. So I think it's interesting that they're doing that. They gave him the one eye contact thing that for some reason every single bad guy who is kind of evil or is black magic has a different colored eye contact at some point. Kane, Undertaker, keep going.
That's right, yeah.
Alexa.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
So anyway, but that was cool. He looks like he got in really, really good shape. He is at his lightest or his thinnest, I think, or most toned I've ever seen him. But it's good. The guy has gotten, I think, a terrible card since he's gotten pulled up to the main roster. Super talented. I mean, that black mask, like, he could have taken his head off. They're going into him being an actual MMA fighter or whatever fighting style that he is trained in professionally, with the promos. If you were looking at, like, I guess they had like kind of like a cartoon version of him. He's still, he's wrapped up with the tape around his wrists, for his fighting style and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good launch now. Or is the bed going to get crapped on it? Is Vince going to pull the plug on it? That's my worry. I think the Intercontinental title is a very good starting point for him. He should have had that title already. And then once that goes, I think he can be a champion one day. It's just, with characters like this, we were just talking about Bray Wyatt. We should get into Bray Wyatt. You have these mysterious characters, and the only one they have ever been committed to is The Undertaker. It's like The Undertaker is the only person who's allowed to have that character and go, because kayfabe's, kayfabe's not a thing anymore. And everybody knows it's like, people were like, making complaints about Wyatt doing, I mean, you were too, like all the mystical stuff. The Undertaker did all that stuff, but The Undertaker is allowed to do it. He's the only person who's allowed to do it. That character is now gone. He's retired. Thank God. No offense to The Undertaker. I just was so worried the man was going to get hurt. We've discussed this
He almost
a whole
died.
bunch of times.
I mean, literally almoous died. Yeah. With the Goldberg
I'm
match,
so happy. But now that gap has to be filled, and that mysterious, like, figure, like, magical, like, whatever you want to say, satanic, witch, dark arts, whatever character has been a thing now since the 80s, and The Undertaker established it, and when you don't have it, it feels like it's missing. So somebody needs to step up and take it, and everybody thought it was going to be Bray Wyatt. And the disservices that keep happening to Bray Wyatt, we could do a 4-hour show about it. Now you got Aleister Black, who I feel like fits more like into an Undertaker position than Bray does, because he's got the size, the fighting style, and just this look. Like, Bray has a look, but he had to kind of work at that look, Aleister Black was like, package was delivered,
Mm-hmm.
That is him. That you don't need to work on that look, he owns it. That is who he is as a person, I don't think Bray Wyatt is doing all this mumbo jumbo when he's at home with Josie or JoJo and their babies. He's probably like some Southern boy. It just seems more authentic coming off of Aleister Black. So that's how I look at it. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, so, first of all,
a lot to unpack.
No. There's a lot here. I'll unwrap it here. I think
Well, number one, I do remember what I was going to respond to with Bray Wyatt, because you brought up Bray Wyatt at the beginning, and I'd forgotten what you said. With Bray Wyatt wondering where the hell he is, number one, it has been established that he has had mental health issues, so that's actually a thing for him. He, I guess, is not handling the death of John Huber, Luke Harper, or Brody Lee, however you refer to him.
Okay, see, I didn't know about that,
Yep.
So you're informing me about something
Yeah.
I had no idea
See,
about.
and that's why I was like, I know there's something big, and then we just moved on. That's why we haven't seen him, is in large part, not just because of a storyline wise, but really due to his mental health and needing time off and all that kind of stuff, because he's not, again, there may be other stuff other than his friend dying that we obviously we all know who he is, maybe other stuff, but that was one of the big reasons that he is taking time off, is because of that, and is just trying to get his mental health in order. So look, we all get it. We all have, honestly, all of us probably have a mental health issue we could diagnose. All of us. Like, we are all effed up in our own special ways. But with Bray Wyatt, that absolutely, like, I get it. So that is why he's been gone. So I meant to tell you that. But as far as his character goes, take that out of it. They have done a massive disservice. And yes, if that was the reason he lost at WrestleMania, fine. But I just don't understand the method in which he lost. Like, they could have done it 1,000 different ways. And if he's going to take time off to deal with his mental health and Randy Orton's going to go over, okay, fine. But there's different ways to do it that wouldn't make him, like, the Fiend look like a fool after all this buildup, and you can set him on fire. That doesn't put him away, but hey, guys, one RKO does the job. I mean, it makes no sense.
And Alexa Bliss turning on him.
Which
and that
wasn't even a turn. How was that a turn? That was never explained.
It was never explained, and that was my argument before, and I feel bad because I should have known about that for Bray Wyatt, because, I'm sure Luke Harper, John Huber's death really, really rocked him. It rocked a lot of people. Big E was, distraught about it too. And I apologize. I feel really bad.
No.
I'm saying it to him. If he ever listens to this, I didn't know. I'm sorry, my bad. But I was just saying, like, where's Bray? It's his birthday. They tweeted out, like, happy, like, the first time you see the Fiend, you never forgot. And it was him when he came as the Fiend and gave the Sister Abigail to Finn Balor when Finn Balor was still on the main roster. And I was like, I put out a tweet. I was like, yeah, but you guys keep screwing him over and building him up to knock him down. Happy birthday, dude. Like, and it's just because where's Bray? You basically just gave your gimmick to Alexa. And I know Alexa's going to do something with it. Some people have been like, with this doll thing, I think it's good. Like, because I like stuff like that. I get the psychology of it. And she's just knocking it out of the park. But it feels like she took everything of him. It used to be like a partnership, but, like, she has the Firefly Funhouse music song now, and it's all around her. And like you said, if he did need to take time off and he needed to lose to Randy, okay, fine. But that whole ending made absolutely no sense, and I still think that there was a way to not disconnect Bray and Alexa. She could have done the whole thing where he went away again. And that's why Lily's here or something like that. You know what I mean? To keep the connection. Now, do I think if they're smart, like, just thinking off the top of my head, when he does come back, when he's, stable and the Fiend does come back, do I think he goes after Alexa Bliss and kind of takes her out in some sort of way? Yeah. I think that would be the smart thing to do so he can reclaim his crap. But you have so many loopholes now in this character and all this stuff, and it's the same thing they did to him when he was with the Wyatt family, and I just don't, aside from Luke Harper passing away, unfortunately, aside from that, I just don't know why they keep doing this. So I fear for Aleister Black, because it's in the same, vein of what Bray Wyatt's doing. We're doing a dark arts, blah, blah. I feel like Alexa's going to be okay because she's a chick, but, I don't know. Like, I'll bring it up again. They're bringing back Eva Marie. I don't know what's going to happen. So I hope that Aleister Black is now set on a thing, because they dropped the ball with him immediately. He has a cool look, cool gimmick. I felt he could have been a torch passer for the Undertaker thing. So I don't know,
No, I hear you. And if Aleister Black's going to adopt the dark arts and be, a magician, that's fine. I mean, again, it can be adopted by certain characters. It does feel more authentic with Aleister Black than at times Bray Wyatt. But that doesn't mean I don't like the Fiend character. But boy, oh boy, have they really done damage to this character. And I don't. Again. Yeah, it's really hard to watch a character that when he came back with the burned skin and we were all like, this is effing awesome,
to taking it one RKO and the match being over, and apparently to turn by Alexa Bliss. Yet how many stomps and sledgehammers and chair shots did we all see from Seth Rollins at one point, and that couldn't put him down. Fire couldn't put him down, but oh man, that RKO is deadly. It was just silly, stupid, terrible ending. There's no excuse for it. I mean, yes, he had to go away and take time off. That's not the problem. The problem is the way in which that match ended. It just the only benefit out of that whole thing, and I know we're talking about WrestleMania now. We'll get off it, but is that it I guess added some credibility to the RKO and an actual devastating finish. Like that's really it. Okay, I want to move on though. Quickly, Shinsuke Nakamura and Corbin, King Corbin. Tell me this is not a duplicate storyline from what's going on with Sheamus and Ricochet over on Raw, where Ricochet took Sheamus's outfit, his hat and his coat, and we have, of course, Shinsuke taking the crown of King Corbin. It's the same thing. Am I wrong? Like what?
Now that you pointed it out to me, yeah, it is. But I have different opinions about both of them. So with Ricochet and Sheamus, I thought it was funny because he was mocking him and doing like the typical Irish, oh, I like my charms, stuff like that. Yeah. I find humor in that. And I thought it was good because I love Sheamus. I'm glad he is the U.S. champ. But every storyline, every year, Sheamus is the same character, and he just changes his gear. And, he's just always a brooding champion who's beating everybody up. There's no rhyme or reason for why he acts the way he does. Yeah, they had the Drew McIntyre thing, and there was a rivalry, brothers, best friends. Okay, fine. But I can't remember. I was trying to think, a significant Sheamus storyline. When he was in the tag team and he had the mohawk with Cesaro, but that it was still Sheamus. He just had a different look. So for him to actually get mad because somebody's making fun of him, I bought it. I was like, okay, now there's a reason for him to go after Ricochet. And Ricochet was just like, I'm just going to make fun of Sheamus because I think he's ridiculous. At least it's something, right? It's something to work with. I thought it was good. I mean, Ricochet needs to be on TV more. They don't know what to do with him. And putting him in a feud with Sheamus, I think, is going to be good for him. But I was like, oh, look, there's a basis. Yeah, let's make fun of how, they keep putting Sheamus into every stereotypical Irish thing that they could possibly put him into. I thought it was funny because I still don't know why Sheamus thinks it's 1920 and he's dressing like it's the gangs of New York. It's kind of ridiculous, he doesn't dress like that. Nobody dresses like that. So I thought that was funny. On the other hand, with Shinsuke and Corbin, I made the comment when I was watching SmackDown before, did we skip a King of the Ring tournament? Did they do away with it? Because it feels like Corbin has been King Corbin for 4 years now. And I'm like, he won King of the Ring a while ago, right? It wasn't within the last year. Because the last year has been long and fast, and we've lost concept of time. So I can't remember when he won King of the Ring. But I'm like, is that it now? Is this going to be like King Booker? But King Booker was way better, where that's his character now. He's the king. That's it. Yeah. Because there's no Jerry the King Lawler, thank God. I just don't understand it. And as far as Shinsuke stealing his crown, it's just creative has nothing for you. I can't give you I like that Shinsuke is back to the older character now, and is not wearing those ridiculous one suits where it's Elvis jumpers that are leather, Eddie Murphy, Michael Jackson hybrid stuff. And then this guy comes out with a guitar, and I'm like, don't we already have Elias?
I know.
So
I know.
This guy seems funny. Elias at this point needs to go away. He just does absolutely nothing for me. And putting him with Jackson just because they look alike. And it stinks, too, because he's a good wrestler. He's a big dude. He's got a good look, but he's just nails on a chalkboard. This dude comes out, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And everybody's like, oh, he's from NXT. And I don't pay attention to NXT enough, but I do try to keep on top of it. But I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. But we already have a guy with a guitar, but this guy's funny. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with it. Out of the two storylines, I think the Sheamus one is better, but yes, they are doing the same exact thing.
Okay.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, I have no real problem with either of these. I mean, it is a little weird that the baby faces are playing sophomoric tricks on the heels of just taking their gear or taking their crowns.
And, you know, it's whatever. Like you said, when they do this stuff, it means they don't have a whole lot for you. We're not going to put you in something serious. It's just to hold me over to get you to what we don't know what we're going to do with you yet. And that's fine. I have no problem with Ricochet being actually relevant on Monday Night Raw. You know you're relevant when you actually make the Hulu cut. And Ricochet did make the Hulu cut this week for the first time in like 6 months. So there is that. And Sheamus, you know, there was a big Sheamus build throughout the year, and I think he overachieved in a lot of ways, holding Raw together. I think he did a very nice job, and is an unsung hero on Monday Night Raw over the last 6 months. And we get him to WrestleMania. He wins the United States Championship, and then, of course, he just kind of like fades into black. I mean, no pun intended. He just kind of like fades away. It's like, okay. So what are we doing with him now? And they clearly had no plan, zero plan. What was he doing? Messing with Humberto Carrillo for several weeks?
Yeah, and that was another thing. It was like this guy like just keeps popping in and out. Like he's there, and then he'll do a bunch of whole stuff, and then he leaves. And I think the guy's a talented wrestler, not knocking him, but like this, like why is like you know the thing with the U.S. Championship? And I'm sorry. They should make this a rule. Like when John won it, I think John won it, and that's when the U.S. challenge started again. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a he.
Okay.
Yep.
That should be in the contract. If you were the U.S. champ, you should have to have an open challenge every week on Monday. And Sheamus started going towards that storyline. And of course, he did the heel thing. Oh, well, not this week. You know, and then you have Humberto come out and whatever. But that would make the U.S. title have its own thing when it gets lost in the sauce with the IC, because nobody ever knows which one is worth more, you know, and I think the IC title is more important than the U.S. title. But, okay, so give the U.S. title a gimmick, and that, you know, you got the 24/7 title, which is whatever, but, you know, John established it and it made it seem important again. You restyled it. It looks okay. I kind of like the old belt, but I get it. We don't want to have all that color on it. We want the belts to be kind of neutral. But, like, be like, any U.S. champ now has to do an open challenge every Monday. And it would work, you know, and you keep the title on the person, and then somebody, you know, miraculously wins the title on a Monday Night Raw. I think that would be a good way to go, because every U.S. champ since John Cena has said they were going to do it, but if they were a heel, never goes through. It should be contracted when you win that title. What do you think?
Yeah, that is, well, I don't have a problem with that on a premise that it would certainly add excitement to every Monday Night Raw. Oh, cool. Who's going to be the next challenger for the United States Championship? And I have no problem with that, and it would create new matchups. It would create, you know, interest in that next match. At the same time, I think it would also kind of dilute the importance of title matches to the point where they don't mean anything, especially for the United States Championship. The problem is, if this wasn't really a pandemic, to use a very modern term right now, in WWE, where they constantly have to have title matches almost on every show, I think it would mean more if you just did that with the U.S. title. The problem is they are putting almost every belt on the line all the time on free TV. Tag team titles, IC title, the Universal Championship was defended at one point on free TV a couple of months ago. The WWE Championship actually traded hands on Monday Night Raw a couple of months ago, a few months ago, and it's just too many title matches. If I wasn't so saturated with title matches, I would be like, yeah, let's freaking do this. But there's so many that pay-per-views don't feel important anymore because title matches are given away on free TV. Isn't that the point of in part pay-per-views, getting the network, purchasing the network, Peacock, to want to see those title matches, and yet we just see so many title matches all the time. And I think WWE is compensating for their lack of being able to build true stars, and they're using superficial band-aids to cover their lack of being able to build new big heels and baby faces by just doing, well, title matches create interest. Let's do title matches. The problem is, of course, anybody in economics knows the more of something that exists, the less it's worth in anything. So I don't know. I think it's just an absolute just overwhelming number of title matches.
I get what you're saying. I do feel, though, that you do need title matches on the weekly television every now and then, and I do think that you do need a title change every now and then on I get what you're saying is oversaturated, but my counter argument is that, like, usually with the tag teams, the lower titles, not the top titles, but like the tag titles and then the US and then the IC, it seems like every time a champ wins, and if they're not defending the title, which they don't, every singles match they have, they lose.
Oh, yeah.
If it's not for the title. So that's what I'm saying. If you had a U.S. title, open title every week, like John Cena, then you're a fighting champion, and the champion is always winning. I'm not saying to drop it to a different person. You have the U.S. title holder, establish them as a fighting champ, and they're not losing in non-title matches every week to somebody else, because that is a consistent thing with the WWE. And like when John was doing it, of course John was winning every week, but it made the title feel important again. So if you have a U.S. championship, that it's like, okay, well, if you are the U.S. title holder, you got to defend that. You're the working man champion of our programming. You are putting butts in the seats every Monday. You got to earn that title. You got to keep it. It's everybody against you, and that builds a star. Like, God, like watching the Austin biography, and I watched Austin when he was in WCW. I have known about Steve Austin when he was stunning Steve Austin. I watched the Hollywood Blondes with my father as a child. I remember one of my memories was when Austin had the TV title. And the TV title meant something, Those people, Austin had the title for like 4 years. And I remember looking at my dad and going, he's had the title for a really long time, right, Dad? And he was like, yeah, he's had the title. It was a long, significant time. And that's what I remember when I started seeing Austin on, WWE programming. I was like, oh my God, that's the guy who had the TV title for 4 years. That's what I'm saying. So if you have a U.S. title that it's like, all right, you're the working man. You are the guy. You're putting butts in the seat, almost like a TV title, since there is no TV title anymore. And you have your champion consistently defending his title and establishing himself. When he does drop it to the next person, and then that person carries it, that person who held that U.S. title for however long and defended it on you could have a streak on Monday Night Raw, like so many weeks going, that guy should automatically get bumped into the World Championship title picture, and now you have another competitor for it. That's my counter.
Oh, yeah, well, no, I'll say I don't disagree with the purpose of having it, because it does put importance on the belt. It does create new stars. I guess again, the problem I have with it isn't that necessarily the idea itself. It's the fact that WWE has so many other title matches that if you did this, it would to fans just be another title match. The problem is company wide of them defending every belt they have all the time. I mean, It's too much, and I have no problem with this as an idea, but there's so many title matches, it would get lost in the shuffle, and I don't think it would achieve what it set out to achieve, because you're not thinking it's very special. You're just kind of like, oh, well, another week, another title match, let's see who comes out. Eventually, the novelty of it would wear off very quickly because of too many. Hell, we had Tamina and Natalya win the tag team titles a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw when they could have done it at the damn pay-per-view. And it's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this on free TV?
No, they won at the pay-per-view.
I think they won on free TV.
I'm almost positive they won at Backlash. Unless it was the week before Raw.
Well, they defended it, I think, at Backlash. And
maybe that's what I'm confusing.
So
I'm gonna double check, but you might be right.
Yeah. So it's just. That's the problem I have. If they weren't doing so many, I would agree. It's just I don't need more title matches. I need less. I need fewer. So, okay. Well, while you look that up, I am going to move on to Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston had a big Monday Night Raw, and we don't have a ton of time here left, but I want to just touch on Raw with you. Of course, big items here. Kofi Kingston had a big night. Big night in pinning Randy Orton via a roll-up, because WWE loves them some roll-ups. He also beat Bobby Lashley in a non-title match. Bobby Lashley issued an open challenge. Everybody thought it was for the WWE Championship. It obviously was not. The wording was not saying it was for a WWE title match. And everybody throughout the night said, you know what, I'm going to do that, or I may do that. Yet at the end of the night, only Kofi Kingston came out. It made no sense. I'm like, well, where's everybody else that was running their mouth about doing this? Nobody contested it. Nobody said, hey, wait a minute. Nope, just Kofi comes out and gets a victory over Bobby Lashley, another tainted victory from an assist by Drew McIntyre, and people are going crazy over Kofi Mania too. Oh, look what he had. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. This guy had two tainted victories, and people are losing their minds that he's going to, challenge Bobby Lashley, which he probably will. I see WWE logic here. But what did you think about Monday Night Raw in terms of that storyline?
I get what you're saying. Like, I totally see your point, but I also think that Kofi got screwed after he dropped the title, and he was immediately removed from the title picture. And I think that they're maybe trying to make up for lost time on that. I think he should still be in the title picture. Kofi Kingston has been a WWE champion now. He should not go back to mid-card. He established himself. He earned it. He set the way for Lashley to win the title. We've had 2 African-American champs in the last 3 years when we didn't have it forever. Like The Rock was, and that was half, so it was great to see it. And, the way they're getting there, though, is weird. I do appreciate them actually throwing back to the feud between Randy, which they always left that out for some reason, and everybody loved that feud between them when Kofi first was around, and it seemed like he was going to win the championship. So I appreciated that they were continuing storylines like that too. But I think people are getting hyped because I think that Kofi got kind of screwed when he lost the title. Like, it was just like he was an afterthought, and the way that he lost to Brock, they kind of had a throwback to that with him getting thrown up in the air by I think it was Lashley, within the first 5 seconds of that match, so I don't see any problem with it. I love Kofi, and I do think he should be in that position. I mean, he's still with the New Day and stuff like that, but I think it's more interesting that they're doing the whole Randy Orton thing, and the RK Bro thing, which I hated. I think it was actually funny because when he got hit with the tomato and I hate Riddle. I hate him. But he rode past him on the scooter and went, "Hey, Randy, I lost my crap." I started laughing. It was really funny. So that's going to be interesting what they're doing with that. I think Riddle is going to go heel. But Randy is a lone wolf, and he showed that. He RKO'd everybody. So it's just a weird, muddled storyline. I don't know I don't know if this is just to get Kofi into the picture, if they're just doing it, if they're going back to Kofi and Randy, which is something I feel like they need to revisit too, because it's still I thought during that match when they were together, he was going to start screaming stupid at him, and it would have been a good throwback. So I see what you're saying. It's just very weird. It's all these parts that they're kind of meshing together right now, and I don't know exactly where it's going.
I don't think that. Think? Well, yeah, I think that they don't know what to do with the next contender for Bobby Lashley, and unfortunately it shows their lack of, again, a mega babyface on Raw besides Drew McIntyre, which I'm over seeing him in the WWE title picture. I'm tired of seeing him chase it. I've said this many, many times over the last several weeks. We're all done with it. He's greatest champion. Respect the guy. Good promo. A man's man. All that stuff. Wonderful. Great. Can we move him on to something that doesn't involve the WWE Championship? Please, for God's sakes. And it shows you that they just don't have that next person in line beyond Drew, and they don't know what to do with Drew's life when he's not in the WWE title picture. And Kofi's, he's a respectable, suitable replacement. I don't think he's ever going to beat Bobby Lashley, let's be honest, if that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it could be we remember what happened with Kofi with the Brock Lesnar incident a couple of years ago, losing in 12 seconds or whatever it was, and many people lost their minds. I was I was very annoyed at his character after he lost. The next week he's coming out throwing pancakes like nothing happened. It's just dude.
That's what I said, mid-card obscurity. And I'm not saying that's not a insult to the New Day. Obviously, the New Day are dominant faction, tag team champs, all that stuff, and they're pure baby faces. They did try to make them heels when they first started out. Didn't work because you got 3 guys who are very funny and just likable dudes. All 3 of them, Big E, Kofi, and Xavier, are likable guys. If you don't like them, there's something wrong with you. So I get it, but yeah, putting him right back into his role, that's what you are, Kofi. How long it took him to get away from the Jamaican thing? So now we're just going to slap him back in. And it's I was upset when they broke up a New Day, but I felt it was too, because Big E is a single star. And that guy had also through the years just been all the time. So Again, it's creative has nothing for you, and again, when I say that, I don't necessarily think it's creative. I think creative has a ton of stuff. I think Vince McMahon doesn't like any of it, and he's too set in his ways. And I think that these people, like especially these wrestlers, they are creative. They have good ideas. We have seen, like I said, during WrestleMania when they were raining out and we saw them, spitting promos off the top of their head, it was like the best promos that we had seen in months, and it was from multiple people that you wouldn't expect it from. It goes back to these people they're professionals. They know what they're doing. Look at Roman Reigns. Obviously he knows what he's doing. You just need to cater to their strengths, and Vince is just like, it feels like Vince has his death grip because he knows he needs to let go and he can't. And it's just him throwing his weight around. I do think these people have ideas. I think creative. I think they probably do have a good writing staff. But constantly we hear 5 o'clock scripts getting rewritten. There's only one person who causes that. So This is just, again, another thing of, Kofi lost to Brock, and he's a small guy, and we don't have anything. Well, we can't put him back in New Day. Throw pancakes.
Yeah.
It's fleshing out characters, and that's why I was saying, like, the Jay and the Jimmy thing is so good because, yes, they're twins. They're identical twin brothers. Like, I was watching Total Divas, and I still couldn't, even though one's married to Naomi and the other one's not, still, Uso 1, Uso 2. And it wasn't an insult, I get the twin gimmick. The twin gimmick is a thing. God, we had the Bellas. But it was so good when the Bellas established themselves, even though I hate them, as separate people. You can only run with that for so long, and it's the same thing with tag teams, it's just building characters. I don't know, like, I'm going on a tangent now. I don't know what they're going to do with them. They have nobody, obviously, for Bobby Lashley. I could throw out names. Kevin Owens, get big guys that are believable who could take that guy down. Big E, Bobby Lashley is the match, if you want it, right?
Brock Lesnar.
Or Brock, but we don't know what's going on with Brock. We don't know if he's coming back. Doesn't seem like he's coming back. Heyman is with Reigns right now, and that's for a reason. They wouldn't have put Heyman with Reigns if Brock was gone. If Brock was coming back, they would have just taken Heyman off TV, like they always do. But I think they also wanted to keep Heyman on TV because they're stupid if you don't have Heyman on TV. Like when they were doing that when Brock wasn't around, I was like, why, But you had Heyman with Punk at one point and stuff like that. The match that I see with active roster is Big E. Big E is believable to take Bobby Lashley out.
Just have to do trades. The problem is, the rosters at this point now in the
trades
year.
Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler just showed up on SmackDown. Now, I don't know if that has to do with there only being one set of women tag team titles, but they just showed up out of nowhere. So, I don't want to hear – I understand you're trying to establish, like, storyline and they don't care about trades. It don't matter. All they need to do is just be like, boom, he showed up, he wants the title.
I want them to care.
On SmackDown.
I want them to care. They should care about their own effing rules, but
yes,
they don't.
Should.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that there's so many different ways I could respond to that, and it would, because there's like 18 topics. But as staying on topic, is what I'm going to try to do here. It's not easy. RK Bro, I agree. RK Bro, to the original question, I think that RK Bro is a success more than they thought it would be, and I'm not a fan of Riddle, as you said. When Riddle's by himself, he's insufferable. When he was with Randy Orton, he's got a perfect personality to bounce himself off of, and him on the scooter, like, I hate him as a solo act, but with Randy, there's something there, and I hate to say that because I hate Riddle so much as a character. Great in the ring. But it is fun to watch. We're all waiting for the RKO to hit Riddle. We've all been waiting for it. I hope they wait a little longer. I want to see what these two have. They might have lightning in a bottle, and I don't want them to smash that before it's too late. So, or it's too early, rather. But as far as Kofi Kingston, yeah, he's clearly next in line, or there may be some kind of triple threat at Hell in a Cell. With Bobby Lashley. Ultimately, he'll end up retaining. Spoiler alert, I just don't see Bobby dropping the belt anytime soon. But, okay, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte and Asuka this past week, I thought was really good. Asuka, we all know how good she is, but Charlotte Flair and her just have that chemistry together. I know people incessantly just look at Charlotte and go, she always has to be in the title picture. She's just a Flair. That's why she, and even Corey Graves this week responded to the internet by saying that, you sound like the internet ad in because, she's not here because of her name. Names don't win matches for you. Like, he was clearly responding to those people that hate on Charlotte Flair about how she's always there. But in her defense, she has, I think, added a lot to her character over the last several weeks since her return from WrestleMania, where she didn't have a match. Her hair, her makeup, again, just appearance-wise, her Cruella de Vil outfit, just the way that she's delivering promos, it doesn't feel robotic anymore. She has life to herself. Everything that she's done, it's small, but it adds up to so much in what she's done with her character. She says what she is, and I believe it. She is the opportunity. And I am loving this new Charlotte Flair. I think sooner than later she's going to be Raw Women's Champion. I suspect that Rhea Ripley is probably going to drop that fairly soon, and I'm just not impressed with Rhea Ripley as champion this far.
The match was great. Her and Asuka are great together. And honestly, I'm surprised Rhea Ripley didn't drop the title when she just defended it. I was really shocked that she retained because the experiment's over. Like, I like Rhea. It was just too fast. I don't know why they did that. Like, she's competition. I'm not saying she's not worthy of a title. It's just way too fast. It's not like a Paige versus AJ thing where it's believable, like there was something there when Paige won the title, like first on the roster, her first night. That was an actual moment,
Yep.
And it just seemed more believable. Like Rhea, again, it just seemed way too fast, and she's not getting any love for it. I feel like she should have been a face coming onto the roster and not a heel, and I think she was just put in that role because of her looks. She definitely can come off like this badass woman who's taking out people and being good at the same time. But as far as Charlotte goes, yes, I agree with everything that you're saying. This is a new Charlotte Flair, and I like this character. I did not like the BS suspension thing for a week. That was stupid, but we moved beyond that. I want to know what's going on between her and Sonya. There's obviously something going on between her and Sonya. I want to know when Sonya is going to start wrestling again also, because I don't like her as a GM. She just comes off kind of not robotic, but just like stale, not stale, like cardboard. It's just, I don't know. I don't like her in that.
Like anybody could be saying the lines that she's saying. It doesn't feel like her. Yeah,
there's just it doesn't feel like there's any emotion behind her. Like Paige, that's a Paige role. Like Paige and AJ Lee, people who have personality. Sonya hasn't developed that voice for her yet, so I don't know. But I like her in the ring. I think she's great. I want to know what's going on with her and Charlotte. But Charlotte has tweaked stuff. Has made her even more despisable as a heel, is living up to her legacy, and that is what it is about now. Now, I don't know, again, internet stuff. She just did an interview, and she was talking about the Lacey Evans thing with her dad, and she turned around and she said, for God's sake, it's 2021, why do I have to be on TV with my father? And she was like, I love my father. She was like, but every single time, every storyline has gone back to my dad on TV. She was like, I am not Ric Flair's daughter anymore. I'm Charlotte Flair. I am the legacy. I am carrying on the name. Yeah, I do his moves and stuff like that, but I do not need my father on TV with me for me to be like whatever. I am my own person. And she went off about it. And again, it was either Flair being Flair, and it's Ric Flair who's going to say no to Flair, or, again, McMahon just doing that to her. So, and she said that the Evans storyline was like a blessing in disguise, because once Evans was really pregnant, and that was a surprise, and they wrapped that up real quickly with not really saying it was her dad, but not really, she went back to them and she said, I'm going to go home, and now that the storyline's over, my father doesn't need to be here anymore. And she got her way, and good, because that's been the other glaring thing. At first, yeah, whatever, but she does not need her father. She's and no disrespect to Ric Flair, he's still considered to me the greatest of all time. other than Austin, 2 different characters though, 2 different styles, you know, she's better than her father. Like, in the ring. She is a freak of nature. A freak of effing nature. She picked up so quick, natural, like a Kurt Angle. She got moves. She perfected the figure 4 and made it better and more painful. You know, her neck breaker move that I can't remember the name right now.
Selection.
Natural selection. She is the dominant female in that division, with Rousey being gone, and, you know, we don't know when we're going to see Becky, but again, Becky, she's great, but she's not Charlotte Flair, and this is what needed to happen, and yes, she's going to have the title sooner than later. They need to get it off of Rhea, though, so if in order to get it off of Rhea, Charlotte beats her, I'm all for it.
I just don't know what to feel for Rhea Ripley. She's cast as a heel, but I thought at times she's supposed to be a babyface because Asuka had held it for so long, and they really just ignored it. I've been on so many tangents about that terrible creative that WWE gave her, and it's inexcusable. But Rhea Ripley right now just doesn't feel right as champion. Either it's miscast or she's not ready. But I love her character. It's a weird mix of how I feel about Rhea, albeit she belongs on Raw. I have no problem with that. It just feels like she hasn't quite found her footing beyond just reading the lines in her head about what her promo should be. She doesn't feel like just kind of like let loose. She feels very kind of controlled.
She's green.
Yeah.
She's got to establish herself, and you can't throw a title on somebody like that. You could do it with Paige for some reason. It worked, but you can't do that all the time.
No.
You know?
That's more the exception than the rule. And I think also, and I said that while you said that Charlotte was, hey, this is 2021. Why the hell why is my dad still on TV with me? I said that as it was going on. I said, why the hell is Ric Flair here? This feels like it is just taking away from Charlotte. There was nothing they could do that storyline would have helped Charlotte at all. Like, it is nothing more than reminding you, oh, that's right, it's Ric Flair's daughter. No. It's such a regression of the Charlotte character. I don't care how you're trying to position it. And that promo she had backstage with her dad, I remember, it was everything that we were thinking. Like, hey, Dad, go home. This is my time. You don't belong here anymore. You know, it was so real, and I was like, thank you. Like, thank God that storyline ended when it did. You know, I didn't want to see Lacey Evans Charlotte at WrestleMania. That didn't interest me at all. So yeah, that was a blessing in disguise. I think Charlotte Flair is the alpha female of the entire WWE. I mean, I believe that. She is that good. And I think she's just going to get better. So I think that, yes, she should be champion. I'm not interested in Rhea Ripley as champion right now. I'm interested in her as a character and on air, just not as champion. So, and as far as Asuka goes, I think she needs some time as well. Maybe just time away. To kind of, I don't know, recharge her batteries. She's a great in-ring talent, but I just don't think that she belongs on TV right now after all the things that WWE has done to her with the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the women's division. Of course, I could dive into many more. But, what about Eva Marie? I meant to ask before we close things out. You mentioned her throughout the show. I gotta ask what
guys. I guess you can tell that I'm not excited about it because
Evolution.
As soon as now, Monday, her retweets, people are retweeting her, and it's popping up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, I remember when people were writing your tweets for you because you had no idea about what wrestling was or who wrestlers were, and I'd be reading your tweets, and I'm like, she doesn't know this. Like, it would be like some crazy stat or something, and then they start popping up, and it's like, this match is fire, and I'm like, great, we got the Bellas 2.0 back. Who, and listen, I thought when she left the last time, they were onto something with her.
Everything all red, right? Everything red?
Yeah, and her not showing
she
up.
Would never
and,
compete.
Yeah. They were onto something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's a good wrestler. I mean, she's been training, so, I haven't seen her wrestler, so if she impresses me in the ring, I will, eat my crow. As far as a mic person, she starts talking and I immediately want to punch her in the face. Also, again, we talk about the WWE having a blonde problem and a looks problem. This chick has gotten so much work done while she's been gone that she looks like she's pushing 50, you know, like with the women who get to the end of their 40s, and that's when they start getting the work done, and you start to see she already looks like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, that's her own preference, whatever makes her feel comfortable in her skin, but I thought she was prettier before she left. These girls do these things, but it's just, they gave her Carmella's gimmick. So,
Yep.
You bring Carmella back, you change her for no reason, and I read an interview with her that she said she did not want to do this gimmick. So again, fill in the blanks who put her in that gimmick. You know, she said she didn't want to be in this gimmick. You take Carmella out of being the Staten Island chick, and I know the Jersey Shore thing is old, but at least she had personality. You know, I thought she was funny. I liked the stuff she was doing, R-Truth. She's a great dancer. She was her. But then you take her and you know, she comes back and it looks like she had work too. You make her this, oh, I'm the sexy one of the division. Na. Put her with a sommelier who's not even with her anymore. Haven't seen her on TV. That guy's with Nia Jax and Shayna for some reason. And for the love of God, get Shayna away from Nia Jax. Please. Sorry, it makes me really angry. Every week it keeps going on. I'm like, why? Anyway.
She got a victory this week, though, at least.
I know she did,
Yeah.
but it's just, you know, she does not need to be with Nia Jax.
No.
She needs to be running all over that division and hurting people. But I digress. You know, you give Carmella this whole entire gimmick, this new gimmick. It seems like she was doing it for a month. She's gone. She was in a tag team and then she was gone. And now Eva Marie is basically doing the same exact gimmick. So what's Carmella going to do when she comes back?
Well, be even
Am I
more
wrong?
sexy or
Like,
drink more
does it-
champagne? Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't it seem like the same thing? Like you just said before, the two storylines, Sheamus or whatever. It seems like the same exact thing to me.
And
Just
what makes
posting on
it
cars and
what makes it worse is that this is such a regression of what made the women's
yes,
evolution
and that's
so
my
good.
other point. Yes.
So-
Why are we re-signing this chick when she was the last Whisper death kick other than the Bellas hanging around too long, and she was gone? It seems like such a regression. Again, she's been training with that big dude that looks like Brock Lesnar, who they just signed to NXT. Maybe it has something to do with him. Maybe she's been doing better. Again, I will eat crow. You know, like Nikki Bella got better at one point. Was she great? No. But did she get better? Yes. Yep. Blah, blah. You know, Lana, bleh. You know, then you still got Lana, who's like floating around. I'm frustrated with the women's division right now because they have a blonde problem, and it seems like, you know, these other stars who are talented and just as good are not getting pushed because, you know, I'm getting blinded by blonde every week. And now you're bringing Eva Marie. Yeah, she's got pink hair, but okay, and it's a disservice. And then it goes right back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this episode was Johnny Ace. Johnny Ace comes in. The Iconics are gone, who, you know, in my opinion, and anybody can give me crap and Bella Army come at me because I really don't care. The Iconics were doing the Bellas gimmick 20 times better than the Bellas could have ever done it. The Bellas wished they could do their gimmick like the Iconics did. The Iconics were great. That's why they split them up, and that's why they got released, because those two are still like, we're going to do another run. We're going to go win the tag team championships. And now Stepdad is in office because, again, Johnny Ace is married to the Bella Twins' mother, if you guys didn't know that. So, politics, you know, nepotism, I think that has something to do with it. And then one of the first, you release Samoa Joe and then you sign Eva Marie. And that is why Punk reamed that guy out on air every week when he was the manager, but he was actually the talent relations, and you know there is truth to everything that Punk says. He's hiring models. There you go. And I'm done with my rant about that. The women's division needs Becky Lynch back, and they need to start pushing people like Ruby Riott, get Shayna Baszler away from Nia Jax. Like, Nia Jax has been okay. She hasn't been really bothering me, but, like, this whole guy, Reginald, like, why? Get it away. It's almost like the dude that was with Carmella that won the Money in the Bank. That needs
James
to go.
Ellsworth, yeah.
James Ellsworth. That needs to go. You need Shayna Baszler as an established villain in that place along Alexa Bliss, who's going to start pulling some crap sometime soon. They're teasing it. She's targeting people. She's been helping people win. She said that she likes seeing Reginald. Good. At least she knows he needs to be taken out. She's trying to light him on fire this week. Great. Do it. That's fine. But Shayna Baszler should be the, Ronda Rousey of that division, but the evil version of Ronda Rousey in that division right now. And there's no reason for it. I'm not saying put the title on her, but she should be chasing for one of those titles at this point.
And
that's my women's rant.
Yeah. The women's division's a mess. There's no other way to put this right now. The women's division is quite a mess outside of Charlotte Flair and the brilliance of Asuka in the ring. Her character is a little bit.
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss is all. I will say Alexa Bliss. Yeah, she absorbed with the Fiend. His whole gimmick she did, but I would like to see her actually in a program at this point. I mean, we are now a month and a half past WrestleMania, and yet we still have not seen her in a program. She's teased
coming,
it.
Though.
I know, but it's just like I'm just like, okay, can we just get to whoever you're gonna get in a program with? Like I can only see so many times of her sitting on a swing and seeing Lily giggle. Like that's cool. Like I get it, but it's been so many weeks now. Like just pick your target and go. Maybe it's just the impatience in me, but
no, I get it.
Yeah,
I mean, because they could also do something. Not to cut you off real quick. Like they could have Alexa recruit Nikki Cross back now, and have Nikki Cross be who she was in NXT, and it would work. There's so many angles.
Nikki Cross is just back to being the giddy schoolgirl that's just excited to be there and just overexcited about everything all the time for everything. It's silly to me.
And it's a shame.
Yeah,
and it's a shame.
It is.
That's why I was saying, I keep forgetting, what was the faction she was in NXT?
Oh, God. Was
with
it
Eric
Insanity?
Young?
Insanity? No.
Insanity or, it's something like that.
Yeah, I know. I think Insanity.
I can't remember it, and it was great.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't do it on the main roster.
They did it briefly,
why?
And it was very brief, and but they didn't have Nikki with her. Nikki automatically went to the women's division, and it was cool that there was a woman in a faction. Yeah.
They need stuff like that, and it established Nikki as a threat. And her character, when she was in NXT, was unhinged. It was what they wanted Dean Ambrose to be. Nikki Cross was doing it as a chick, so you could revitalize her and have her go down that, Alexa Bliss could just drive her crazy to the point that she breaks, and then, she's with Bliss again.
Yeah.
Because I did like them together. They had chemistry. It just didn't make any sense to me.
But to originally go back to my point with Eva Marie, man, I have no problem. Look, I'm a straight man. I'm a married man, but yeah, she's nice to look at. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Yeah. I've said this many times. When they over-sexualize the women, it's not like I'm offended on behalf of them. Like, I don't think that's a thing. But I feel bad for them, I think is a better phrase. I feel bad for the women who are busting their ass, who have done everything they can to remove themselves from that vision, that stigma, that idea of what women's wrestling is. And that yet we go back to it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. That, okay, boobs and ass, that's essentially what we got from her promo. I'm like, this is not an evolution. That's ironic that's the name. This is a regression. This is not evolving into anything other than just going back to 1999. I mean, I expect. What, is she going to have a Playboy pillow fight next week? I mean, that's what I feel like. And you know what? She may be great in the ring.
Carmella.
Yeah, maybe versus Carmella, right? Whoever can strip each other down to bra and panties wins. I mean, how many times have we seen that in the 90s and early 2000s? So it just feels, and she may have progressed in the ring. That's great. I don't care if your main focus of the character is going to be sexuality. That doesn't do it for me. That's not what I watch wrestling for. There are many other outlets that we all know what they are. That if you're interested in that, you can go watch at any time. I don't watch wrestling for that. That is not what I do, and I feel bad for the women.
Yeah, but and you're absolutely 100%. But at the same time, these girls can be sexy without that. Like Sasha Banks has a sex appeal to her, but that's not what they focus on. But she flaunts it. You see it. It's there. She comes off like that. It's subtle though. That's a confident woman. You doing this, being like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. That makes you look like you're insecure, and we can tell because you've altered yourself a zillion times. And that's on a different level.
When you overtly make that the focus of your character, a superficial, hey, look at my boobs and ass.
Like,
Yeah.
then you've doomed yourself from the beginning. And, not trying to think about the Bellas, but I'm thinking about it. When Nikki comes out and does her stripper dance at the beginning of her, I'm just like, that to me is the epitome of why you are in the Divas era and you will never be a part of the women's evolution, is that right there. That kind of stuff is just so like, oh, and all the men are sitting there going, oh, well, I'm not thinking about the storyline that she's in. Am I invested in her character to care if she's going to win or lose?
No. Yeah, this is why they were calling women's matches piss breaks for years.
Forever.
For years. 2-minute matches. And because of stuff like this, we got disservices like AJ Lee, great on the mic. I know she was good in the ring. She was having 2-minute matches because she had no competition. And you get like stuff like this. And, I'll blame her for like walking away when she did. And she walked away really younger. I mean, Trish and Lita walked away at 30. And AJ Lee walked away younger than that. And 30, I think, is really young. You know what I mean? And it was Trish and Lita. And they retired at 30. AJ Lee walked away at 26 years old. Yeah, she said she had an injury, or 27. I'm sure she did. And she married Punk, and she was getting mean girled backstage by the Bella Twins. But, what was there for her? There was nobody on her level. And all she was able to do to show her talent was cut a mic promo. She couldn't compete with anybody in the ring. Paige came up, and when those girls started coming up, I think she, maybe, but at that point she was probably like, screw it. And now you're hiring somebody who's Bella 2.0, and like the Bellas were supposed to be the nail, that was supposed to be the death blow. That was the nail in the coffin for that. You worked all this way, we had Ronda Rousey, and now like I said, you release Samoa Joe and you hire Eva Marie. And this girl, I'm in the same boat with you, but I get like really heated about it. But what are you gonna do? It's there's got to be a change of guard, or like I don't know. Like I really hope that like this year being away, like it changes something, because it's just like we keep falling back in these patterns, and I don't like we get there and then it's not, and that's why I really want AEW to take off, because then maybe we'll get, they have so much talent that's wasted, and I'm glad half these people got, released, because good, use it somewhere else. It's a shame at this point.
Yeah, it is. And the problem is, though, that not everybody that got released is going to have an automatic job somewhere. Yeah. We all think, they could just get an AEW. Well, AEW is just one company. There's only so many spots. They're not going to take everybody. It's not as easy as it sounds. But, right now, when you see Eva Marie, when you see Nikki Bella, she hasn't been on TV in a while, but do her stripper pole dance, or the over-sexualized Carmella, when that becomes the focal point of your character, you're doomed. And you are hurting not just the character, you're hurting the entire division by sending the message that, the women are kind of sex objects. Remember? Hey, guys, remember that? Like, no. Like, it's such, I don't know. And that's coming from a straight guy. Like,
it's just a discerning, it's just a discerning conversation, because I think, it's like we're past this point. You know what I mean? Like they already wrestle, in gear, you see what you need to see. You're right. It's just a disgusting conversation to keep having, because these are the women that they actually have now, the ones that are there, all of them, even the really pretty ones, like Toni Storm is drop dead gorgeous. Yeah. Girl can whoop your butt. You know what I mean? And she's really good, and I cannot wait to see her on the main roster. She is somebody I'm really looking forward to seeing on the main roster, and I fear what's going to happen, because everybody fears. But she doesn't need to do that, So, again, you don't need to do that. You just don't. These girls have sustenance to them. They're more than just an ass, as you just said. But and we keep going back to it.
They are, but yet then they send the message of look at all the shit, look at how she can dance, look at the tight outfit she's in. Ooh, look, I don't know. And like you said, Toni Storm, she honestly, the first time I saw her was at the Evolution pay-per-view a few years ago. Yeah. That all women's pay-per-view. I forget the match who she had it with. She absolutely dropped my jaw, and I don't mean in the way that, oh my god, look at her body. I meant she might have had the best match of the night. Mm-hmm. I was like,
holy crap, right? And how they have not done another Evolution pay-per-view, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you're all about the progression of women and all I've not met a fan yet that goes, nah, screw the women, we don't need, like, most fans are on board for the women taking up more time, earning it, not just getting it to get it, but earning it, and they have, and they get the Evolution pay-per-view, they're on a roll, and then, like, where's the next one? They certainly could fit it in. I don't know. So,
I mean, again, I don't have an answer for that for you, but like I said, I feel like we have this conversation like way too much about it, and you know, I don't know why they do it. It's just old school thinking. I don't know. I just, like, again, I'm really, really upset that I know that Vince is never, like, he's just, like, death grip on it right now. And it just seems like it's getting more convoluted as he ages. And we talked about this, lack of sleep, you know, putting drugs in your body. I don't know what's going to happen. I really hope that something gets reset really soon, and I hope they get competition with AEW, and I hope something happens that, like, it becomes serious again, because, you know, competition is healthy, and, like, they've just been mailing it in for so long, and, like, at this point, they don't even care. Like, they have all these contracts and all this money, and they're just going to, and everybody's like, well, you're going to still watch product, and we do, but it's because, like, you know, when you're a wrestling fan, for the most part, you're a wrestling fan for life, and you're waiting to see the things that make you happy, and you guys do it, and you know you're doing it, but at the same time, you're paying stockholders who don't even care about wrestling. So it's just, you know, it is what it is, Matt. Hopefully we get some kind of, you know, I don't know, hopefully Eva Marie and Carmella have a death match and they both, like, leave or something. I don't have an answer with you, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. Again, if Eva Marie impresses me in the ring, I will take it back. But they got to do something better with her character then.
And not wear, like, you know, a bikini to the ring. Like, I don't want... No, and I have no problem with the women showing their bodies, and, like, to an extent that... Not because I'm telling you how to control your body or whatever, that whole thing. Just because... If you show too much, it becomes the focal point of the male audience, the straight male audience. It just does. We're guys.
No, I know.
You know, like,
I mean, yeah, you guys can't help it. I get it. I understand. I'm not, like, discrediting you or anything. You're absolutely right. But it's like, are they going to do it? But you know the thing, I just thought I was going to say, you know the thing that makes me the most mad is that Eva Marie is going to walk in here, and she's going to get all this screen time, and she'll probably be entered into a title picture pretty shortly after she gets back, and somebody like Ruby Riott or Shayna Baszler, who's been hustling, and because they look different. I mean, yeah, I can't even say that because Rhea Ripley's a title holder right now, and she's covered in tats and piercings and stuff like that. I don't know why that happened. I don't know if it has to do with her height or something. But, like, you have those other two girls who don't look like the rest of the roster, who have been putting in the work, who are solid wrestlers, especially Shayna Baszler, and I am on the Shayna Baszler train until it happens. And this chick's going to just walk in and take all those opportunities away from those two.
This is a much longer conversation with the women. I'm going to have to end it there. But, yeah, no, Shayna Baszler... Last point on me, yeah, Shayna Baszler needs to get the hell away from Nia. They lost the belts. Let's move on. Nia can go do her whiny thing and hurt somebody every other week. Just get back to her normal routine. And we can have Shayna Baszler do what she does and whoop women's asses, break people's arms, and just be ruthless. And that's what I want from Shayna Baszler, because her in a tag team being buried there, taking a pinfall every other week is not helping her or Nia or the women's division. Get them out. Enough. I don't need, just end it. Okay. Any final thoughts before we close things out, Mary?
No, I can't. We covered a lot of ground, more ground than we said we were going to cover. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that I wanted to think about. But when we were talking about the women's, we should do like the state of the women's division in WWE podcast special, and maybe get Ashley on and like another dude and have a discussion, like have a real discussion about women's wrestling. Because, it stinks because we thought like we were getting away from this, and but it's not even just the women, it's just WWE. They have so much talent, and I don't know why. Like, and again, I don't think it's that creative has nothing for you. I think there is an old man get off my lawn who won't get off the lawn,
Well, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think creative writes for Vince. They don't write for what they know is right. They write for their jobs, which I get. They're self-preservation.
I get it.
Because I think every time they've tried to do something like that would work, like I would get steamrolled probably every week. Like, and I think I have good bookings sometimes, you know, I've been watching it forever. But I think like even if they do that, he automatically says no. So then why are you going to try? You just write what he wants.
And
right?
then he's like, who's coming up with this crap? You're fired, right? Like, people it's a revolving door in creative, and people get that. It's very volatile. There's too many of them, I think. It's just a toxic environment, so people are just writing to save their jobs and what Vince likes, which may not align with what the audience wants. So it's a contrast of interest. So, yeah. All right.
And it's terrible, too, because one last point. It's terrible, too, because Triple H cares so much about women's wrestling. And you see that in NXT. Like, he makes those girls the focal point. And it's like he's gift wrapping stuff to give to his father-in-law, and he's just knocking it out of his hand. And I think that about any talent that's in NXT. You could see how Triple H just views it in a different way, and it's the old school way. Even though he's not old school, he's still younger than Vince, you know? So it's just this weird dynamic. Like, honestly, like, if Shane was in charge taking over after Vince is, you know, gone or leaves or, you know, passes away, God bless him, when it happens, like, I would be even more worried. But I don't worry with Triple H because you see that he cares. And it's not that Vince doesn't care. It's just he's so out of touch. Again, this is like my mother is like a little older than Vince, and it would be like her running the WWE, like completely out of touch with everything that's going on, like doesn't know the modern stuff, doesn't understand that, you know, we're in a different environment than what we were, and you're not a 50-year-old man who's still going on TV and is benefiting from the TNA and all this like wacky stuff, you know, like you're pulling a Hulk Hogan. Like, no when, you know. I'm not saying kick him out of the building, but he just needs to loosen it a little, dude. Like, I'm not even asking a lot, you know. And, like, it's just really weird. It's just a really weird thing right now. And it's something that you got to think of because Vince is not a spring chicken anymore. So he's either going to be the crypt keeper and live forever, or he's not. And I just think that it's going to be really harsher if it's just like, well, he's going to be gone when he passes away, because then it's just going to be a complete cluster F when they try to reevaluate what their company is and like storylines and stuff like that, you know? Or maybe they go into it flawlessly. I don't know. I'm not saying you can.
No, this is definitely a deep conversation, one that could spin off its own show with the diving into the women's division and where they're going, where they've been, and that does sound like a pretty good idea. You know, maybe I'll take you up on that, but definitely Ashley would be a good candidate, of course, yourself. So yeah, let me sit on that. But in the meantime, of course, let everyone know where they can find you on social media if they wanna have a piece at you, right? like take a piece out of you.
Like
and
I said,
give you
come at me. You can follow me on Twitter at Mare_Bear, BARE, like bear like naked, not bear like grr. And then you can follow me on Instagram at Poppinster11. I'm more active on Twitter, as I always say every show. Sometimes you'll get a picture on my Instagram. I just put up my my newly framed signed Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic that Sarah Michelle Gellar signed when I met her 2 years ago, and it is now my prized possession. So you go check that out. It's pretty cool. It's the original Superman cover, the first debut cover of Superman when he debuted in Action Comics. They made a replica and they just put Buffy in there. And I got the queen to sign her herself. So that was my marketing for the day. Shouts.
I feel like I should have an applause. Damn, I need to get more sound bites and just do like a, damn it.
Again, you got to talk to your girl, Beth.
That's
hey,
up
Beth. Beth, you got some sound bites for me, and she'll throw some your way, and she'll tell you how to get those things in. We can get those in.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with her. This is her forte, right? So
yes, this is her forte.
Okay.
You go to her, she will have all the answers for you.
All right, Beth, I'm coming. All right. Yeah. All right, Mary, thanks so much for popping on, and we will definitely be in touch soon as we maybe get closer to Hell in a Cell, which is 4 weeks away now. So.
Always a pleasure to do your show. I am always here, always reach out, and I love chatting with you. And yes, let's meet again soon. And special podcast on women's wrestling.
Yeah, I like that. So thanks so much, Mary. You have a great night.
You too, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.